All right, so we're back. So this time we have Faye.
Hello. Thanks for finally having me on.
I know, right? It's been so long. We keep on like scheduling and canceling and rescheduling, and finally we're here. So
I know. Yay.
finally, so yeah, so Faye was typed in three systems. She was typed in OPS, EU, and CT.
Yeah.
Um, so what were you typed in those three systems?
Yeah. So I guess ops, FMTESE, play, blast, consume, sleep. To the surprise of like everyone, but maybe three people, including the surprise to me, but we'll get into that. EU, two, yeah, two wing three, six wing seven, nine wing eight. The nine wing was debated back and forth like by me and
Hmm.
other people a lot for
A
a while.
lot, yeah.
Um, I just put it back to eight for now, um,
That's
because
where you started, right?
yeah, and like I actually was typed by Catherine Faver, the
Mm,
exact same thing
mm,
before I ever bought an EU typing. So I was kind of working in that space already. I just like,
hmm,
Six Fix wanted to know like for sure
hmm.
TE, like more input, like left
Yeah.
or right. Um, and because I knew 269 were pretty non-negotiable.
Hmm.
Um, and then, oh my God, what else? Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say like that. I don't always like Catherine's typings are hit or miss for me, but I just found it like kind
I
of
guess
wild that
I
you know.
haven't explored her. I haven't explored her before, so I'm curious. Like, do you feel like it's usually similar
Uh,
to EU?
there's some gems,
Mm,
but I think you will find yourself like disagreeing with a lot of the content. So like
hmm.
proceed at your own risk. But
Okay.
um oh yeah, CT, right. Okay. So
Hmm.
that was my most recent one. Yeah, it was. Like back in the winter, they had a bit of a tough time typing some of the like minutia, but like I knew I was um like EP and
Hmm.
you know, I kind of wondered maybe delta, but I knew I was gamma like not too long after that.
Hmm.
So or like SENI axis, Um
And they
and
struggled with you, right? Like they were
they
trying to figure out ISFP, ESFP,
yeah,
ADOS.
well, I do like signal mix. So
Mm,
see, okay, I should explain this. Fuck blast. Oh my god. So CT stands for cognitive type. For anyone
mm,
that doesn't know, it is a voltology system, which basically is operating on the theory that like your cognition, your cognitive functions are visible through trackable movements because cognition starts pre-verbally. It starts in the body. I think
mm,
anyone that's into like nervous system healing knows that by now. So I think that
mm,
that's really interesting for like where we're at in research.
mm,
But yeah, like so they thought maybe I had FETI a little bit because I um, was appearing in a coordinated way sometimes that they would associate with that. I also don't have a lot of the disgust signal, which for me I associate with like a lack of four, you know?
Yep.
Um and the yeah, they weren't sure as well until the end, obviously, when I got my result, like if I was like introverted judging first. So
Mm, yeah.
SEFI, like with the two little sticks, basically just means that in my body, you'll see SE with like FI and almost equal amounts, but it always kind of defers back to like the gravity, SE, reality state. Um, so yeah, there's some like congruencies across the system, but there's also some incongruencies even triangulated across all three, I feel. So like we can talk about that, whatever you want. It's your interview. I'm done blasting. Ask me stuff.
All right, yeah. So we have three systems this time. I've
Yeah,
never had three systems
you're welcome.
before. I've actually never even touched CT yet on
Oh
my channel. So
no,
you're the first one to really get into that. So I'm curious, like
no.
how we're going to like try to puzzle it together.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I mean, we started like the order that we set it was OPS, EU, then
Mhm.
CT. So we're probably gonna conserve with that.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's just go into OPS.
Okay.
You're Teal Swan's type twin.
I
Yes.
am.
So you
Actually,
probably have a cult that we just don't know about, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah. Don't know about, but she's actually one of my favorite type twins, to be honest, like as problematic
huh.
as she is.
She's
Just
problematic, right?
oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of like I don't feel like controversy automatically equals problematic, but um it's not like I've never taken issue with some things. Oh, that sounds
I
so
have some problems. I personally have some problems with like her approach to certain things.
yeah.
I really do because I was like in her community for about a year, and I did spot some like things that were problematic and
Mhm.
that did cause me personally problems. But like, of course, like because she's so good at blasting, she just like by default, a lot of what she's saying just makes sense. Like she makes it make sense.
Yeah.
But
I
I feel like maybe that's not. I mean, you guys are opposite in CT,
we are
so
like
there are still differences. Yeah.
but upside down.
Hmm.
Um and okay, so I mean, what I like about her other than just like vague sexual instincty stuff, like
Yeah.
I don't know, we could make out, that'd be cool. But
By the
type
way, for anyone
oh
watching,
no, what?
Teal Swan. By the way, for anyone watching, she's sexual self-pres, three wing four. Then we don't actually know if she's five or eight fix secondary, but she has a five fix and an eight fix as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if somebody revised the gut fix at some point.
Hmm.
But
Could
so
be.
like I feel like a lot of my type twins and ops are I mean these are the famous people they're plucking, but they're usually more like actresses or CEOs versus like or like makeup artists. There's a lot of makeup in my
Hmm.
5'11", 5'12" area. I did almost go to makeup school once upon a time, so I mean, but um but like um yeah, I noticed like on the CT side of things, on just like the basic pre-verbal cognition side of things, um
Yeah.
she's a lot more focused with her train of thought and with her speech. Obviously, like a
Hmm.
lot is rehearsed and scripted, but even still, you can just like see it in the way she barely moves. Um, which also makes me question like an eight wing
No,
set.
I get you because like I would like I used to watch her and
Mm-hmm.
like even like on a different day she'll just like be teaching a totally different topic and then she'll have to dive into an old topic before
Mm-hmm.
and she can just like do this thing where she can just switch and she'll go
Yeah,
back to an
it's
old video and just speak it exactly as
so
she said it
smooth.
before.
I'm more like, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of like whooshing around the track, nine stuff,
Hmm.
probably social sexual style too. Um, LMAO. But like, yeah, so I envy that. And looking at us in ops as type twins, thinking I should be able to do like what she can do and like I can't, not in the same way. Like I can work at it, whatever, and like deliver similar like results, but it's not gonna have the same exact precision
Effect.
flow to it. It's just not, and that's fine.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I definitely
Hmm.
get like annoyed with that. So
No, I hear you. I
yeah.
hear you with that. I mean, possibly it's just a different
Hmm.
variant that we just can't calculate yet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we have a new coin in ops now with the social types, so
Hmm.
that could be one area. But just I think like I really something I crave for ops that you can find in the Enneagram and CT, just not in ops as it is, except like sexuals to some degree, is like that kind of pre-verbal consistency and detection where you can just vibe type and you can vibe it out and you don't have to like tracking the words and behaviors is a great cross check, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like that's so much later in the process of existence, you know?
I kind of get what you mean. Like, um,
You should know as a gut type, right? Like,
I kind of get what you mean. Like, there's a lot that has to do with um, what ends up becoming that result
mm-hmm,
that is not even looked at that could have differences
mm-hmm,
or similarities. So,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, what did you want to know about like my ops type, I guess?
Okay, so you are lead masculine TE, which is interesting because you are SeFi in CT.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't have, some kind of masculine TE um, there, but you do in
Oh,
OPS.
yeah. Okay, I remember what I was gonna say. So, like, one thing I noticed about me and Teal, right? Like in
Hmm.
let's say like ops and
CT.
CD, maybe even in Enneagram too, like, you know, she just feels like she's like learned why empathy matters, you know? And I never had to go through that experience.
Hmm.
I was born hyper empathetic and not I'm not trying to say that to be prideful, hello too, but like it's a blessing
Hmm.
and a curse, you know. Doesn't mean I'm always necessarily like being super considerate even. It just means that I'm able to like just feel that without thinking about it. It's like the first thing that hits me is like in that emotional heart space
Hmm.
of myself. And
Yeah.
like my TE doesn't feel like I don't feel like that kind of EJ that had to or that kind of TEEJ, I should say, that had to like go through that realization. And that was a huge
Hmm.
part in me, like not even considering this type, like before I got my type back.
Hmm.
But I will say I am a needy bitch and I'm aware, like I crave and like thrive off of like connection with like the tribe.
Hmm.
And I'm aware that um if you want people to be like on board with you,
Hmm.
um, especially if you're coming from an FI place and not an FE just like smoothing over the vibe place. I mean, I can do that, but it's a tool in the repertoire for the FI purpose. But anyway, you have to like use reason or like explain yourself or explain on someone else's behalf or whatever. Like that has to that's often as long as you don't let your like your anger or whatever get ahead of you, but that often wins over the people that don't have that empathy, that don't have that don't have their heart online. You know, you kind of have to
Hmm.
access them through here. And I've known that
Yeah.
a long time, probably since I was like, I don't know,
Hmm.
like a kid for sure.
That's interesting because I mean, technically in OPS you have inactivated FI,
Yeah, I
but
don't I
it
don't feel
seems
that way
like
like
yeah, I can see it because it sounds like like you're always aware of that. Like it doesn't really turn off.
I just have an
And
agenda,
so,
you know,
mhm,
and
an
there
agenda. How do you mean that?
the agenda of getting people to care for
Hmm.
themselves and for each other. Like it's just to me, it's just reality. Like it's just
So
how
it's still about them then, right? Or
it's about all like everybody, like as much others as it is me, you know? Um, I think through me, through myself and my internal landscape, I know how important it would be for others as well. So some of that is like a projection, but I get
hmm.
proof for those projections, or at least I try to. I probably get it wrong more than I think I do, as a two would. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, does that make sense?
So I'm curious about this projections thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, where does that really start? Like, where, like, do you think that your programming is um relying on this projection of like the FI, or do you think that comes in later?
Like the FI projection coming later?
Yeah, like, are you ending up like assuming or like trying to figure out where somebody cares about something after, or is like, or was that always
No, like
the goal?
feel my feelings and I can feel other people's feelings. Like it assaults my with the nine, you know, like my space. I'm like, whoa. Um, I don't think I always doesn't mean I always interpret it like 100% correctly as much as I would like to think that. But I always like that sense is always being fed into me, you know?
Hmm.
I can't turn that off. Like I have to go somewhere this week where I'm going to run into a lot of people that I love and love me, and some people that really fucking don't.
Hmm.
And without being enmeshed with the people that do, you know, I am like, I feel that my field, my personal field, is going to be really overly sensitive and open to those that don't want to see me, you know? I can't like I know the types of body movements I should make. I know like all the things I need to do, all the right things to think to reduce that and navigate that situation, but
Hmm.
it doesn't turn it off. Only like getting pulled into the social instinct and like the sexual instinct, like that, because they're both like
Why wouldn't that turn it off though? Like, because if that's supposed to be effective, then why, like, for what reason would that not turn
what do you
off?
mean?
Like, if you doing all those like correct movements and the right things to say, the right things to think, the right things to do, would that not, like, I thought that was supposed to work, so why
It,
wouldn't it turn off?
it doesn't matter. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just feel people regardless. So I need if I don't want to feel people, I need to be feeling like other people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's no just it's
So you
not
think they're gonna feel that way anyways, despite what you did to reduce it?
I'm not talking about reducing it like making amends or even like talking to them at all, you know? I just mean like that kind of therapeutic advice around like, oh, um you know, occupy yourself with things to do, go around and look at the other things going on at this event, like, you know, just like their opinions of you don't matter, and like um what they're thinking and feeling right now doesn't matter. um I know that I'm like, what's the word I'm looking for? um like I know myself and my story in this
Mm-hmm.
situation, but it doesn't mean I can turn off sensing the negativity from people. and I feel it, and it's icky, it's painful, it's even scary sometimes.
Mhm.
And like all that reasoning doesn't make it go away. All of
Mhm.
that redirection, even of like being in my body, doesn't make it go away. I can be more present with it and build a tolerance, but it doesn't make it disappear like I want it to, you know?
Do you think that like maybe part of it is that you're convinced it will feel a certain way, and so even if you did stuff to fix it, it would still feel the way that you expect it to feel?
No, no, I can just feel it. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, so you can predict
It's not,
how other people are gonna feel about you.
well, it's already people I know I have issues with, you know,
Hmm.
or that have issues with me. I don't really have issues with them.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like
I
MCE.
just wanted to be clear because it did feel like it did feel like despite you having the skill to navigate those situations, you were still going to not trust that it would fix the problem on the feeling level.
But it's not about fixing the problem on the outside. It's about like handling yourself on the inside, you know,
Mm,
and how your body and how your heart and head all respond to the stimuli.
hmm.
Hmm. Not what am I going to say to them, not uh, what am I going to do if they come at me or something like that. It's
Okay.
more like how do I make sure I'm good with me and I can do all that work till I'm blue in the face, but it doesn't stop that information from like coming in. And that's like super social
I see. So you
and
know your limit is part of
super
the equation.
fixed also.
Hmm.
Positive as well. Yeah.
I see.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Because
Okay.
especially like, I don't know, as a two, like your whole thing is about being like having your fingers in the people pie.
Hmm.
So like if like one of my fingers is not in some crust and some filling, it's going like it's just like cold in the air, like ah. So and I can feel the heat radiating off other pies. That was a horrible metaphor, but you know.
I kind of get the idea. I guess you're saying that you're just very good at predicting um if you're gonna fuck up with something or not on the
I
feeling
Yeah,
level.
but I'm not even, it's not like am I gonna fuck up or not? That's not what I'm thinking. Like I don't know why I'm curious why you're coming at it from like
It could be a difference on my part, like a different OPS type. I'm opposite you. I'm actually technically completely opposite you.
mhm.
I'm MF, SCFI, consume sleep play blast, and then on CT I'm SCTI.
Yeah.
So I'm using TI to evaluate your JI and your JE, and I'm like I'm trying to understand because like okay, so like let me try to communicate what it sounds like from my
Yeah,
perspective.
please.
So for me, it sounds like you're saying that you okay, so like you're saying that there's the situation where you're gonna go to an event where some people like you, some people don't,
Mhm.
and be knowing that these people that don't like you, you're actually you know that you're capable of navigating that situation in a way where you can reduce their reaction to you so that the outcome is not totally negative.
Yeah, I guess I'm not thinking about controlling their reaction as much as like feeling the way I want to feel.
So so you're saying that you don't think that you can control yourself. It's not that the problem is that you can't control other people, is that you don't know if you're going to be
Yeah.
able to trust that you can
Yeah,
control
like
yourself.
if they were to do something, you know, like I could either handle it or like verbally or whatever. I'm not really a scrapper, like that's not me. My face is too pretty to break, like no. But like Um, I'm not really like afraid of what they'll say to me and how to like combat that or something like that. It's more just like I forgot what you said, but like the pain of
Managing it within yourself.
pain management is really what I'm describing.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. I don't know that much about Seelie SeFi versus Unseelie SeFi. How does
Mm-hmm.
that fit in here? Like, do you think having Seelie SeFi makes it harder with in this specific aspect?
Like in this type of situation.
Yeah, like, do you think because
Yeah,
Teal is
definitely
supposedly
does.
unseelie, do you think she
Mhm.
would deal with it differently?
Because Seelie FI versus like unseelie FI and CT, like um Seelie FI is emotionally open and porous, like
Hmm.
things get in. The sensitivity is not like overly shrouded. Um I can be like, I think I have more levels of like unseelie as well. Um than maybe they documented, just because like all of my videos were in like more of a CD state. Like that's a bit, you tend to be one or the other, but it's fluid, unlike, the rest of um
Right, right.
the rest of coins and all these systems. But
Hmm.
yeah. So it definitely, like, I can't, those sensations, let's say, that like run from, here to down there, they don't really go away. They're always being lit up or occupied by something. So
Mm.
if you don't have kind of like say like a positive FI stimulating, like other FI will take its place. It's not like TI where it's just like philosophical void, you know?
Hmm. Interesting. So you're saying that like if something enters it, it has to go completely through. It can't just stop and be
No,
blocked.
there's no, yeah, there's no like numbing out to the heart,
Hmm.
or like, I guess a lot of Seelie FIs are like nines, so like the gut as well. But you're an eight, you wouldn't really know what that's like, I guess.
I guess like yeah, like the fact I made that's why I have TI and CT.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot
Like
do
I
it.
don't know what I don't have any of that, so
You're
that's
like looking at me like I'm an alien right now. Like, what do you mean? Like, I feel like I'm explaining like the alphabet,
interesting.
but it's
I don't mean to make you feel
no, I'm
alienated.
not
I'm
offended.
just like legitimately trying to piece it out through my like TI in CT,
Mhm.
and like I'm seeing something where like it feels as if like you're giving me a puzzle and leaving out one piece.
Interesting.
It can feel like that because I can kind of like assume,
Uh-huh.
what you're trying to imply, which is that um you just don't want to enter that situation because it would be difficult
Hmm.
or something like that. However,
Yeah, that fucking
you're not
hurts.
making
I
it
don't
you're
like
making it
that.
like it feels like you're making it 85% explicit, and there's this one 15%
Are you
that's
trying
like
to say,
not
what do you
said.
what do you mean?
I mean, like like you're not explicitly saying that you don't want to enter that situation in that event where some people like you, some people don't, and you don't want to have to manage, your image in that situation to make them have a different reaction to you, because, and this is the part that you're leaving out,
Uh-huh.
where it's because it feels very hurtful to have to go through that or something like that.
Yeah, of course it hurts. That's the whole point. Like,
Oh wait, what happened? You went
I
black.
I got a phone
Oh,
call. We're good. We're
okay,
safe.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, oops. So, um, yeah, no, of course it hurts. Like that's the whole, like, when, how do I say this? I don't know, it just feels so like a given. I'm like, I've not like prepared to ever have to explain this to anybody, I guess. But like,
Hmm.
um, when I feel like in ops, it's like the tribe in your head or something.
Hmm.
So like, it's bothering me already when I'm thinking about like what they're thinking of me,
Hmm.
and I'm not 100% convinced that um it's bullshit, you know?
Okay.
And and I'm already kind of like running that through my mind alone.
Hmm.
Um and then but like being around those people like in person, in the physical, there's all these like SE cues of of that idea of you, that image of you, and it's feeding into the ego, and it's painful. And on a 6-9 level, it's confusing.
Interesting.
I think like with being really high attachment, there's more permeability for um like I'm still
Yeah,
seeing
let us
myself.
jump there.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
just
yeah.
jump into
I'm
EU from here.
yeah, I'm still like seeing myself in a more like restricted kind of like hexad way.
Hmm.
But how how good that is being lived up to is up for a bit more, influence, and even the expression of what that looks like in terms of my behavior, is more up for influence as well. So on the one hand, I can connect to others um, more fluidly and like a wider variety of people,
Hmm.
but also that means that I'm more sensitive to their feedback than a 278 or a 251, if that ever existed, you know?
Interesting. That's a lot to process. I kind of see like what the puzzle is here,
Yeah.
in the sense that because you have triple attachment adjacent, that makes you both high rejection and high attachment, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so it's like, even though your core rejection, you unfortunately you have um, like a pathway that makes it easy for people's thoughts to infiltrate
Oh,
your
yeah.
core
Yeah,
rejection.
for sure. Why do you
Hmm.
think because you have the same thing with 8, why do you think it
Hmm.
makes us like more rejection as well?
Well, I feel like we're constantly having like a pseudo frustration as a result.
That's what I
Be
said to you.
Yes, it was, but I
That's from
completely
me,
agree.
bitch. Yeah.
I think I probably said that like separately, but we ended up saying the same thing, and then I agreed, and then
Hmm.
it was just the same thing. But like, yeah, like I feel like there's like this pseudo frustration where like we're trying to reject in order to maintain our either
But you can't
privacy or
completely let go the same way. So you're like stuck. Is that what you're getting at?
um I feel like it may be similar to like you're choking on something and you swallowed, and you're still choking, you thought you swallowed, And it's just
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
back and forth of like, wait. I'm trying to fix it. Like this is not how it's supposed to go. It's like
Mhm.
one of those things. So
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like in that's why it's like pseudo frustration.
Yes. You also have like all your other wings are frustration wings. Me, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but for sure.
Yeah. So okay, so let's like dive into your EU typing now, because like
Mhm.
um we've pretty much like already. I mean, your OPS typing it's pretty straightforward in the sense that you're lead masculine to E, which means that you tend to challenge things on the basis of their logic before anything else. And
Yeah.
then like you try to like give a little lesson so that people follow you as you're challenging that logic, and then you dive into like a more personal perspective of why that logic even matters in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in like reflecting that to your EU typing was actually a lot easier than I thought, in the sense that the fact that your Seelie SeFi explains in a weird way, but it explains the Demon FI in the sense that you're a lot more sensitive to situations where you have to manage the FI,
Mhm.
because you're so aware of um, like when it's gonna be too much or when it's not gonna be too much. And so that's why there's this like demon state, as OPS calls it, of like being super sensitive with it.
Right, yeah. And like feminine FI is already more sensitive because it's like more, yeah, it's more fluid. So
Which I guess like OPS is like predicting that you would be on the super Sealy side, but you're saying it's kind of more in the middle.
no, I didn't say that. I don't think I
You don't
did.
think so? You
No.
think it's more on the Sealy side, or
Oh yeah, I'm still a lot more Sealy than unseelie, but like they had me as like having no unsealie at all.
okay?
And I was like, I have some. It's there. I
That's
have some
fun.
sat. I know. Gets me in hot fucking water. So um
Hmm.
what was I gonna say? Oh, I mean, yeah, but I feel like being like two is like a very busybody type and like in other people's business. And I feel like having like extroverted perceiving and then like introverted judging as your top two makes that like awkward because you're like hyper focused on your own experience of self. So what the hell?
Wait, you said extroverted perceiving and extroverted judging?
No, extroverted perceiving and introverted judging.
Okay.
Like that's a very like
In
flowy,
CT.
flowy, but
Yeah.
flowy but withdrawn type of, you know,
Yeah.
which like with the whole Enneagram type, like it adds up
Mm,
well enough. But just like when you take twoing three, it's a little bit diluted, I feel, or like it gets a bit more
mm-hmm.
and like encroach
Yeah.
in terms of your scope. Yeah.
That's where I want to pick at though, because that's very it implies a lot of things by itself, like the fact that it's two wing three versus SEFI.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't feel like the two necessarily touches or um, corresponds to the lead SE. I feel like maybe the two talks more about the FI that you have in CT.
I feel like FI and CT is really nine, like especially nine wing one ish, but it's just super porous um, and super internal. Like it's the archetype of the princess that like sits in the tower, guarded away from the world, you know, like So even still, I wouldn't say the part of it that is two-ish is like that it's obviously Seelie SeFi is very emotional and two is like an emotive type. But a lot of people that are too heavy are like have higher TE than I do, or like higher JE probably.
Mm.
So that's fine. But 269 is kind of like a baby sloppy too, you know, especially with no self-pres, like there's no like real structure. But like I feel like the SE is kind of speaks really well to social sexual in terms of, you know, being gone like gone with the wind. Like a little butterfly. And
Interesting. So you think the combination of social sexual with two is the reason why SCFI fits better for you?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's like there's like an adaptability to SE, you know, like real-time adaptability because you're literally your body is responding to the environment, and I feel responsible for responding to the people in my environment, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, it's got pros and cons for sure.
So let's dive into that then. So like,
Yeah,
how do you think that the core two okay, so first of all, let me start it this way. So you had said before that you were born with SEFI with two bars. You
that's
were
my
always
theory.
like that.
That's my theory. I just don't see a time where I didn't have like that JI sensitivity and like
Hmm.
that even like when I look at pictures of myself as like I mean I had some like serious early childhood trauma. So grain of salt perhaps, but I looking at pictures of myself even as a kid, you can see that kind of like ooh little mousy kind of quality. Like never not there. And like there's
Yeah.
more to FI than that, but like that's a decent snapshot of Seelie FI. So
Hmm.
like the delicacy.
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel I have the capacity for having a lot of like gravity and push, but also a lot of like extreme delicacy that's like just weird. It's
Hmm.
weird. It's interesting. And I never really know which side is going to come out more. They're six fix, six wing seven, um,
Hmm.
black and white, this or that stuff. But yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so how about connecting the two? Okay, so how about connecting your core two with your FI in CT? Um,
Hmm.
because like part of type two is to it's an image type, and so it is concerned with how it's coming off, and it is a positive type,
Hmm.
positive outlook, so it wants to give off something that's more positive, emotionally charged,
Hmm.
which would point to using your FI to achieve your two. Um,
Yeah.
so you think that's highly connected, or do you still think it's like
So
more
I
the
think
SE
two
or?
has a lot of like two seems to have a lot of there's actually a two um a celebrity too that I know of that is I think uh F FESI and CT. Um but
Who is
there's
that?
like there's Tom Hiddleston.
Hmm.
Yeah. But so he's kind of an exception. I feel like the nine wing one kind of like waters down the emotionality. Um
Hmm.
like the histrionics of Tunis. But um like we feel like we're doing feeling, right? So we have to like demonstrate like there's an internal pressure to like demonstrate the heart space. And like I feel like having Seelie SeFi just like gives it that kind of like uncoordinated, like bursting quality, you know, where it's like, oh, this is really coming from the heart, because it is, like on a
Interesting.
sensory, like somatic level.
How do you think it would be different if you were on Seelie SeFi?
I don't think I would be a 10, like maybe I'd be a 3
Hmm.
if that was like my homeostatic like baseline.
Hmm.
I feel kind of 3-ish sometimes. Holy fuck, sorry. Um like I feel oh yeah, I feel kind of 3-ish sometimes, in the sense that I can like, I don't have a ton of humility, honestly. Like I can sense into the fact that I'm often a bit conceited, and like I don't like how that affects my image, obviously. Because I want to be like liked and connected, obviously. But
Hmm.
um I don't like, I don't feel like I need to make myself small necessarily either. You know what I mean? So like I don't feel a type of way about that.
Hmm. So, like making yourself smaller, is that part of being Seelie, or it's supposed to be part of it?
No, sorry, it was just me like getting into the assertive
Hmm.
side of like the wing 3,
I see.
like, and why I feel kind of 3-ish sometimes. And I feel like you can be like that kind of assertive, conceited. Like you don't need to be Seelie for that, is kind of what I was getting at. So in I could see in another life having been like an unseelie SEFI 3-wing whatever,
Hmm.
but um not in this lifetime. So even though I do have some of those qualities, for sure.
So too
Um
bad.
yeah, but then I have
Hmm.
these brutal episodes of like intense like self-doubt and like wanting to hide. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Like it
Interesting.
yeah, it really depends on how the attachment pieces are activated, I think.
You
It's
think
fun.
that comes from the nine fix?
Yeah, and the 6. Like there's
Hmm.
definitely like fear um involved in how that comes across or not.
Interesting.
I have range. I have decent range.
Hmm.
Maybe, maybe not.
Hmm.
Um I kind of thought I had a 7 fix for a while, because like both 7 and 2 have that um like positive self-concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the 6-wing 7 plus social sexual is very close to 7. And I even like express a lot of like, oh, this is so annoying, like frustration type of stuff. Um,
Hmm.
affect, I guess, frustration affect. So, um,
Hmm.
and not having an SP wall, I'm sure adds to that. Like, but um, I can also hear the bifurcation process of like the 6 mind of, oh, like it depends. Um, it's like this, but it's also like that. I'm not sure what is the truth. The truth that can be discovered, like all of those principles, like are obvious to me when you hear me talk. So that kind of put the 7 fix thing to rest. I
Hmm.
remember when I was getting typed, um, like the possibility of having a 7 fix was obvious from like my collages and stuff, but I said at some point, like in the interview, like, oh, but I have a lot of 6 in there, and they're like, yeah.
I mean that it makes sense because six is associated with self-pres by itself. Like it has flavors of
It does.
self-pres. So like But when
Definitely
you're self-pressed blind,
safety first. Like,
yeah, it's gonna express like almost like the seven makes more sense for you, I guess.
mm-hmm. I definitely that also helped me make sense of my type overall because I was like, I'm definitely self-pres blind, but I also am really anxious about bad things happening to me
Hmm.
and possibly making my life shorter, even when
Hmm.
things suck and I want to die, you know? Like, so I was kind of like, I get really freaked out about disease and like whatever. So
Hmm.
I think, oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to touch on too is like, it's just interesting to me how people think that like we know that you can have a really high, I hope we know, you can have a really high sex drive. You can love sex. You can be a total slut. You can be a depraved freak and still sexual blind. But if you at all care about the state of your well-being, you have self-pres. Like, mm, especially since like you don't really have a choice but to try. I still suck ass at like having the awareness and presence and attention for it, but you are forced as an adult person to take care of yourself to some degree. Like that's just the consequence of being alive. But I also notice how like I still don't like do it enough because other people are like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna survive? And I'm like, but I don't know. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my god, right? Yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, it just makes
it
sense. I mean,
it
it's just,
like it insults people with self-pres, especially self-pres social. They're like, why? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that people take it a little bit too far when they expect you to literally not have your blind instinct
Yeah.
in your vocabulary, like that's a
I
little too far.
think blind is unlikely, so you're gonna be skeptical towards that. I mean, I am. And other
Hmm.
people, just that's the not to sound TESE, but that's the statistical reality. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I get you. I mean, even like for myself, like being sexual blind, I mean, I still obviously I have sex in my vocabulary and I do think about
Well now.
like stuff related to it.
Hmm.
Um, it's just that it's hard to have the same grace with being successful with it. That's like I guess the difference.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So, hmm.
What else about me doesn't make sense to you, Daniel? What tea can I solve for you? How can I help?
Well, I guess like you said, with FI in your CT typing,
Hmm.
that's usually associated with a nine fix, and you
Yeah.
have nine fix last. Yet
And
your FI is conscious.
yeah.
So I'm curious. Do you feel like having FI conscious, is it actually connected to your nine fix, or do you think is actually um, like your FI and CT is actually ending up connected to something else?
No, I think it's connected to like all of it.
Hmm.
Like there's no part of my Enneagram type at least that feels incongruent with like having FI conscious or having SE base. Um like incongruent in the sense of like it's the opposite of that. Like there are things that are like maybe a little bit awkward or roundabout, like I said, with like two being other focused and FI being self focused and withdrawn. But like, it still fits the heart thing, like I said before. Da da da. Da. Um, and I think it even fits like six as well because six is outsourcing thinking for as an attachment type. It's doing like feeling and moving instead
Hmm.
um, to supplement the thinking process, right? So like it being a reactive type that's relying on feeling to inform its understanding of like orienting to the world. Like, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Hmm.
I also experience my fixes in almost equal strength. Like, I know for some people it's really obviously like a gradient that kind of winds down towards the end of their type, like in
Hmm.
Enneagram, but also even in ops, actually. But I feel like all my parts very, very strongly. And I think, like, at least from the inside, and I think it's why, part of why typing myself was, other than SeFi, that was not that hard to see, but um, like in ops and Enneagram, it was like typing myself in the right order was really difficult for me and other people. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. And I mean, like, we are triangle heavy, right?
Yep. Hmm.
Um, and all those types reinforce each other. So my 6 fix is reinforced through the 9 and through the 3 wing. And the 3 wing is reinforced through, like they're all connected that way. And then when you put that against like the core hexad, it almost feels like they're on the same plane than like sliding off.
I mean, it makes sense. I was thinking about this the other day, like the
Yeah.
fact that you have Bermuda adjacents, it makes like your other two fixes very congruent with your core type in terms of strength. And
Mm,
yeah, that can be like confusing in the sense that
definitely.
your core two, your core rejection, but your Bermuda influence is probably equally as strong or equally as
Al-
loud. Yeah.
Like, technically, no, but it can feel like especially when
Yeah.
like your core is very unconscious, right? So you're gonna notice, similar to ops, like you stare at like the base of the mountain from the top of the mountain kind of thing, um,
Hmm.
not realizing how like far up you've gone, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
And yeah, like it's just, actually a better way to put it would be like you see all the fish in the ocean without realizing like that you're actually like, without, you notice that more than the water itself when you're immersed in the water. Like it's just all
Hmm.
around you, just is. So it can feel like that just because I'm like from my two base, like staring at my other parts going, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And like on top of that, like on top of that, two is a really like, it's not known for being the most self-aware, because it's like that rejection delusion of like, oh, I don't need that. Like, so it's like, oh, I don't need to be seen the way that I already see myself, or like a different way than I already see myself. Fuck that.
Okay. I have a
So
question now. So, okay, so because you have Bermuda adjacent, do you feel like you have to reject your two fix to be more Bermuda sometimes?
yes. And I hate, and
Yes.
I see you do it with 8. I see
I
you do
know.
it. Tell us about
All the
that.
time. I fucking hate it too, dude. Like it's horrible. It's fucking horrible. I hate it. I resent it so much. It's like it almost feels like I'm curious. Does it make you feel like a liar when you
Yeah.
have to do that?
Oh my God. I'm like, I'm a fraud. Like, this is, I can't really, yeah. Hmm.
Like you have to be two different people, and not only do you have to be two different people, you have to be two different sides of yourself that don't mix. And
Yeah.
it's just it's a lot of like incongruence in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to attach, you can't reject all day. Like, and we know this, and we're fucking needy social doms that want to be involved with people in some way. Um, so it's like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. That's
Long
a
story.
good question. What are you supposed to do? Because I
Yeah.
don't even know. I
Well,
still don't know. Like,
well, they're to walk away, and like we often do, but we come crawling back because we're like, oh,
yeah.
like time to try that. Like I always feel like I'm like watching other people do attachment, and I'm like going along with them. Like, okay, like so we're doing this. Like, why? Like, I know. Okay, for example, some people are probably like, what the hell do you mean? So I notice like in like say online spaces I'm in where there's a lot of like especially like 6 wing 7, 9 wing 1, maybe like 1 wing 9, like that kind of area.
Hmm.
And like 3 wing 2 as well. Um I've even seen this in our favorite like Bermuda friend who, you know, has like a 9 wing 8 and whatever, but like there's kind of this vibe around attachment, especially like social, probably like social and social self-pres, where you're just like summarizing. And I learned to do this in counseling class in college. Counseling class was how to be a 9 101. Okay. And oh man, I just, anyway.
Hmm.
So basically like what they're doing is like summarizing somebody's experience
Hmm.
and like reflecting it back to them and like making some kind of like watered down assumption of how they must be experiencing that, and like then maybe offering how they relate. I can do the how I relate part because I'm definitely like self-absorbed, I feel like.
Hmm.
I've even been told that a couple times, so I hate that, but it is what it is. um I try to combat it as much as possible. That's a whole nother can of worms, but like just the whole like, wow, it seems like you're like really feeling or like you're really thinking or you're really noticing like this. That's like, why would you waste your time? Like, who cares? I still like, I enjoy receiving it. And I'm even putting it in rejection terms, receiving, whatever. I enjoy receiving it. It feels good. It makes you feel seen. Like I get the function of it, but it's just not natural to me. Like I feel like doing that would be like fake or something. Like I'd rather just be like, um, I don't relate, or like, oh yeah, I do relate, or like be like, actually, I think it's this way, or like
I
it
kind
is,
of get you.
like yeah, it is this way, or it's not this way, or like here's how it could be that like it's just rejection is very more like on the nose, I think. Um, 5 is weird and obscuring, so like it's like drilling into the nose 100 times or whatever, but it's still getting to the
I think I'm really curious now because it sounds like part of having rejection is to prioritize the refinements of the thing you're offering. So like if what you're gonna say is not gonna actually be true, then you're not gonna offer it because you don't
mm-hmm,
actually own it to give it in
mm-hmm,
the first place.
mm-hmm.
That at least that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you're saying that you'd rather not pretend that you
Just
can
don't
hold
like,
space for something that isn't like it's you rather not pretend you can hold space for a truth that you don't actually contain.
yeah, yeah, that. And also like it just feels like a way to avoid, for me, I understand people are not doing this generally, but it feels like a way to avoid um informing people of like what they need or what they're missing, of like what the void is and how to get it filled, you know?
Do you think that's part of rejection or
Yeah, it's part of rejection. Like I feel like I don't mean to, but I notice myself like trying to just like, instead of being like, okay, here comes the train. You can bite it. You might not. I just want to be like, okay, here it is. Open wide. You're hungry. Hello. Okay, well, eat it or don't. Like, I don't have a I used to have so much more patience to kind of like lead the horse to water. Even the idea that I'm leading a horse to water is like kind of rejection-y in the first place, but like rather than we're just like together looking for water, or maybe we won't find the water or whatever. Um but yeah, like you're thirsty. I can see it. Like I know where the water is. Please follow me. Let's go. And they won't. A lot of the time they won't, because they haven't had a trim and their feet hurt or something, like they don't trust you, or like they've only ever had water from a bucket and they don't want to like drink straight from the lake. Like there might be something in them that, whatever it is, they don't want, or they're a wild horse and they don't want a fucking person to lead them around. Like there might be any reason why, like they don't want to be helped or be led. And a lot of those are valid. But then I'm like, well, what would you like me to do? What do you want? Like, just tell me. Oh my God. I don't. And I used to put in, yeah, I was trying to say this. I used to put in a lot more effort to kind of like, I think, trick people into following me and drinking the water. And like somewhere in me, I still know how to do this, but I just burned myself out so bad doing that to like everyone I ever met. Like
Hmm.
from birth until like, I don't know, the time I was like 24, and I'm 29 now. So a couple of years ago, I just like, I think became more um like unmasked and blunt with my motivations and like my patience.
This is where like I'm trying to understand rejection a little bit better because I previously had recognized this whole approach in being a
Hmm.
Kyle, but I think
Okay.
because I'm core rejection, maybe part of my understanding of Kyle was just rejection itself. Um, and
Oh,
so like because it sounds like you're saying um, like I thought you had asked for this truth to be given to you. Therefore, why are you rejecting it from me? Like, why
yeah.
are you rejecting the
Don't,
water
like,
once I've
isn't this
given it
what
to
you
you?
want? What? Okay, fine. But what do you actually want then? Like, let me know and I'll see if I got it, right? But like let me know.
Hmm.
That's what I
So then
that's
there's something like introverted about. There's something locked down about rejection where it's like it's almost as if it's an assassin or some kind of wanted poster where it's like,
yeah.
okay, well, you put this specific identity right here, and I got the thing that you told me. What is the problem? Like, what
Mhm.
else do you need? Like, it sounds like that to me.
Totally. Yeah.
Mm,
Do you
mm,
I get like with your whole like double masculine, well, not like your double activated MFI,
mhm.
like do you still relate to what I just said, or like how is that for
I
you?
totally relate to it, and I guess maybe that's the masculine deciding aspect of it, where um, we're more assertive with the decider function in
Uh-huh.
a savior state, where it's like, well, we are responsible to assertively decide things,
Hmm.
and if the thing that we have assertively decided is not taken, then we're just confused because the feminine decider is not really um, the way it's supposed to go, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So like in your case it's a lot more like blatant my way or the highway.
Mm, I feel like in my case, it's that I properly consumed what you told me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I thought I heard you correctly the first time, so why is there a confusion? Yeah.
Interesting. I guess that is kind of demon play because you're not like figuring that out together. Where I'm kind of like, okay, tell me. Okay, good. Okay, was that good? All right, cool. Like it's more of a kind of back and forth throughout the process rather than something that's like my direction is predetermined, but like how we get there might,
I kind
like
of get you. Like, are you
it's
saying that like
negotiate.
you were starting out with play and gathering what is supposed to be determined through
Mm-hmm.
play,
Mm-hmm.
and then like you don't consume after to revise that in any way. Whereas in my case, I'm starting out with the
Do I
consume.
not? I mean, mathematically I wouldn't, but like what does that look like?
So like with consume, you basically you gather the facts and you use
Mm-hmm.
your DI to determine for yourself
Oh.
if this is like factually true. Like, is this actually true based on, especially with SF consume, which we both have. It's like using your body, like based on like super grounded terms. Is this
Mm-hmm.
true or not?
Well, I feel like I get that information like very fast, so I don't have to like it doesn't take that long for me to like reach the NI double decider. Um,
Hmm.
but then when I do consume, like I guess I don't know, I have a hard time. See, okay, I want to talk about this actually. Like I have a hard time with my consume last
Hmm.
because I'm very talkative and I can sometimes dominate a conversation. But I also and I like hear myself teaching sometimes for sure, but so does Shan. So, you know, that's not really for a TEEJ, you should kind of expect that somewhere at some point.
Of course, yeah. Especially
Um
masculine blast.
yeah, yeah. I definitely see the like having trouble listening sometimes like when I have something ready to say because like it's like "Bleh," like my that's what my brain body's like doing.
I don't
um
tend to see it with you personally. Like, I feel like you listen very, like, I don't feel like your problem is listening because I think because you lead
I s-
play.
hey, I keep talking over you, but I'm just excited. Sorry.
But I feel like with your lead play, you're still gathering what the tribe is saying. And I think
Yeah.
consume's different. It's more like you silently, like, really bodily process if something makes sense or not.
Oh yeah. Like I don't see how you wouldn't,
Hmm.
but I don't
You'd
know
be
if that's what.
surprised.
What?
I know people that don't. I really know people that don't. Like,
Do
I
they?
tell them something and they acknowledge it, but it's not like they've really registered like on a body level like what is the physical fact of the thing that I said.
Well, I'm
I can tell. Yeah.
scared, I guess, but
Mm.
ouch. And like I can be kind of aggressive with a consume, almost in like maybe a pseudo consume way, because I'll be like it when it's like maybe this is just in the play, I don't know, but I'll be like, what did they say? Like I make sure to like get all the info first.
Hmm.
So like yesterday, I was talking to my friend Jacob, and he was saying like that he had a falling out with somebody. I don't know this person. Like I know their content, but I don't know her. But he had a falling out with somebody, and like it kind of came out of nowhere considering they never had this issue before and blah blah blah. And I like had these assumptions kind of like, oh, like maybe they're going through like um this particular type of mental health thing, um or like a substance is involved or whatever. But then like but then I'll be like, but I need to make sure. Like I'll go check. So I was like, what's her username? Was it this video? And then like look through all the sensory to be like, okay, well, the most likely reason is this. and like he's I think a similar type to me, so the conversation was smooth. But yeah, like that was a clear example of me like going and getting the sensory I needed to like do the DE.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I need to go check. Like I need to know.
No, I hear you. I mean, I feel like
Not as much as you though. I will say that.
probably. I mean, I'm bleed to see it says a
Yeah,
little
sometimes
different,
you
but
won't make
like,
a decision. You'll be like maybe. Like when we were talking about Colleen, what's her name? And
Balinger, right?
sometimes it's like it's a false accusation because this girl's being like accused of, well, exposed really for like predatory shit. And I was like,
Hmm.
like it took a few things to like change your mind, I guess. But maybe that's OI. I don't know. I kind of suck at ops. Like I'm much better at the Enneagram. I still have my holes in my skills there, but like
I hear you.
ops is not as intuitive to me. Like I
No, I
can't.
get you because the fact that your lead play, you're supposed to check sensory, but
Yeah.
it's different when it's ST versus when it's SF.
uh,
I
Yeah.
feel like when it's ST, it's more so the fact. Like, okay, so like with ST, you're looking at facts that work together.
Yes.
Like they
Yeah.
actually work, making it work. Like you're making sure the whole thing like works, like it's mechanical.
Hmm.
But with SF, it's a little more like, does that fit right? Like, is that um, like totally, completely true? Um,
But
it,
SF consume is like gathering for self, right? So I can easily be like, oh, like it seems like this post she made.
well, okay. So like you could gather a whole bunch of data, a whole bunch of facts, and make it work.
Yeah.
That's going to be different than if you decided if that was right or not. Those are different words. So like making it work would be like, okay, well, technically, since you gave me all this information, it technically does work because factually this connects to this and that connects to that and and you keep doing that until it works, right?
Hmm.
But is it right based on like, is that actually how it went?
I don't think that's FI because consume has FI in it, like for me and for us.
Hmm.
Because right is still it's deciding, but you're talking about double observing versus deciding.
Hmm.
Because OEDI is it right for me? So OETI is like, does this make sense to me based on all? I don't really get TI honestly, but like based on all these stacked because this whole structure in your head, and then like FI is like, does it matter to me? Does it like, do I value this? Like, how do I feel about it? Like that's what
I
I
don't
said.
even do that. If that's the case, then my SCFI and OP doesn't like this. I don't do that. Like I
Yeah,
don't care if the facts, if I like the fact or not. I don't care about that at all. It's totally based on if it makes full sense, like if it actually happened or not.
I don't know. Maybe you're mistyped, Daniel. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
How the turntables? You walked in being like, "Will we have to retype her?" Look, you second.
It might be me. Um, I was not expecting that.
Hmm.
I'm just kidding. I know for a fact that like in OPS I am typed right. Like I am SCFI, and it's just based on the way that they like define things.
Uh-huh.
You will see me referring to self and using values as if I'm the one dictating where those like who is evaluating those values.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
But that's different than like with CT where I have TI, which is probably my sleep, probably from my sleep or my SCTE play or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Yep.
it's
You're
different. It's more like for me with TI and CT. it feels more like I want to say inductive reasoning, where like because I have
Uh,
seen this,
I'm really
yeah.
bad at that. Yeah.
Okay, so inductive reasoning is, for example, there's like this common example where like if I have only ever seen a white swan, then there cannot be a black swan because I have only seen white swans.
Okay.
So like it's like that, but applied to anything else, where it's like, okay, well, based on what
So
I have seen logically, then there
what,
cannot be
act-
all these other
what
branches.
deductive reasoning then?
Deductive reasoning is more like, well, if you, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna contradict myself. I don't have a good example. I never picked up a good example for that one. What would it be? It would be more like, if you told me that all of these things are yes,
hmm
then I can extrapolate and say all these other things are yes too. So it's like the opposite way, if that makes sense.
That's yeah. I've tried to understand the difference. Like this first like popped into my awareness as like a child, and I remember like googling it, and I still don't get it.
It is tough.
Like I can feel there's something different, like in terms of making a leap versus like making a an aphorism, like a statement. But I don't really like. I just so painfully don't have TI, so I don't really like know what that is. You know.
It feels like a calculator in your soul that is telling you what is or what isn't, if that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Neato. Like I feel robotic sometimes too. Like I mean an ST would, right? But like more in the sense of
Hmm.
like in terms of masking. Like I'm like, "Ugh,
Hmm.
I guess I'm gonna pretend to do what the people do today." Ugh.
Oh.
Yeah. But we
Let's
talked
talk about that. I'm
about
so
that all.
curious. I am extremely curious now. So like, okay, so I have TI and you have TE in
Uh-huh.
CT.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of rhymed. But so let's just talk about like how does TE feel for you? Like you said, it feels like you're robotic in the sense that you're corresponding to how the other people work.
Oh, how does TE feel in my body like CTTE?
Yeah, yeah.
I think they called it a steamroller, and I totally get that. Because you're just like pushing out deductive reasoning basically like as with as much gusto as possible.
Mm,
Like it's an articulate like the JE, so FE and TE are both articulative functions, right? But you're like you're taking your with TI FE, you're taking your inner calculator and like creating an emotional like an emotionally coordinated like almost performance in order to lead like to shepherd Jesus style. But with TE, you're emotionally charged and you're just kind of explaining the consequences thereafter. I don't mean consequences like punishment necessarily, just like the cause. TE is very kind of like cause and effect. I feel like in some people's eyes that's like NI, but NI is more like um it's more like the unfolding of time itself rather than like
yeah.
if you take this action, this is the result of said action.
That's more JI, right?
JE.
Oh, JE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're telling people.
Mm, hmm.
It's literally like like TE and TI are computational functions because they're thinking, and
Hmm.
it's literally like external computation, which means external, not like to another person necessarily. I know I just said that, but it's like the like extroversion in like that Jungian sense is like the ways it could go, you know? So it's like, this is true in this, it's very six-ish, you know, like 6-7 area. Like this could go, if you do this, say this, or think this, it's gonna go this way. If you do this or say this, think this, it's gonna go that way. And it's just like, it's just factual math that can be like rearranged in a bunch of different ways. And there's no like underlying like always true thing, really. Yeah, I can, you're like, what the fuck is that? I can feel it. But yeah.
Okay, wait. Okay, so like, I'm like hearing what like every sentence that you've said
I'm not
separately
gonna,
in my head.
why are you putting me in this position? Please don't.
Okay, so you're saying that I'm gonna lose it.
Just forget. I'm over tea. I don't want, like, I'm forever sad. I mean, I don't have this issue in CT, but like in ops, like I'm forever sad that I'm a TE dom, because like that's just not my aesthetic. But it's true, so I have to accept it.
Yeah, I feel like with OPS, especially the FM TESE, um, it's
That
very
is,
versatile in terms of like how it expresses itself, especially when you're female for whatever fucking reason. The female FM TESEs seem to be more um, like balanced with SF and NT for some reason.
yeah. Well,
So
the visual
is
is,
there a reason for that, or like, or what?
well, beauty is very visual. You know, even when you create music, like people have been giving music visuals for like forever, right?
Mm,
with
yeah.
with dance, like like I'm not just talking about experiential in the body dance, but like dance performance, like that's designed to be seen, um
Mm,
with artwork corresponding to sound. That's how language happened with, even today with music videos, right? So I think visual is inherently, even if you're not an artist in any way, there's something artist like that is almost like the precursor to artistic behavior. I just pulled that out of my ass right now, so you should believe me.
mm. I just came up with a theory. I'm curious if you would agree with this. But like, do you think that the fact that you're SCFI and CT and TESE slash TENI, because you have double activated TENI, but do you think that that may imply that you're more like responding in the TESE, whereas like
Yeah.
maybe someone like Teal's more like the opposite of responding, like she's like
Mhm.
aggressively like asserting or the one asking the questions, if that makes
For
sense.
sure. And no, I don't feel like elaborating, but yes. You ask
Okay, okay.
like factual, heady questions. It's interesting. Do you know about my SX? Considering we didn't talk about that at all.
We have to. We absolutely
Yeah.
do. So you are social sexual, which is, I mean, supposedly like having sexual on the top two at all is like
Uncommon.
10% of the population or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like pretty rare. So I'm curious your perspective from having sexual in the middle, especially where it's like very, um, I guess it's more on hand, whereas someone with like sexual dominant, it's more sacred, once in a lifetime. It's very important. They're aware of it, but like they're not constantly managing with it, like on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so like being someone with sexual in the middle, using it so on hand, and being 10% of the fucking population, how do you feel in that perspective?
How do I feel? Um, I've heard other people with SX say this. Um, before I ever heard of EU, I already knew that I was either social sexual or sexual social. Um,
Hmm.
because like I also have like um learning disabilities and stuff that affect self-pres anyways, so it just like enhanced it. And like two is just dumb.
Mm. Why
um
is that though? I'm curious.
no, well, we don't have a line to the head center, that's the joke, but yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
So no, we're
Hmm.
a lot of us are actually like really smart, especially verbally, like for like that kind of um
Intelligence.
yeah, like verbal, creative, interpersonal, sometimes intrapersonal, sometimes not. That's like our space. This is our space. This is our area. That was a fine reference. You're welcome. Um, and like, what was I gonna say? So, oh my god, brain fart. Okay, we were talking about sexual. Ugh. Okay. Hello, Nine Fix. Jesus. So it's alienating is probably what I was trying to say. Like, um, oh yeah. Okay. So I always knew, for the most part, most of the time that I was self-pres blind. Um, and I could just like feel this uncontrolled capacity to like follow my own sexual excitement. And I don't mean like, and that might never lead to any actual physical sexual contact. Obviously, like that is often the goal, but like not always. And like a lot of the time, not always, especially where it's like not really socially like feasible or physically feasible. But to me, just because it's not, you can't take it to that endpoint doesn't mean it's not worth following it however far it can go. Like,
I'm gonna have to pick at this a bit.
yeah.
I need to learn. Like, okay, so like I did know a couple of things about sexual, of course. Like I've even heard you explain it to me before.
Mhm.
But like there's parts of it that like are not very intuitive to my robotic brain, my TICT brain, I guess. Where like when you say following your sexual um like fulfillment, let's say,
Mhm.
um does that include, so like okay, so like I know that like sometimes a sexual instinct person will follow a like maybe like a subject that they really like, or a doing a certain activity that they really like or something like that, and apparently part of that is like following their sexual instinct. um like how does that
That,
work?
yeah, I've thought of that. I've like, but like there are tons of fucking sexual blinds that have obsessive interest. So it's not just the presence of obsessive interest. It's like, are you following your body's pleasure systems to the detriment of your body's like um securing and
Mm.
regulating system and relating system?
So it's Annie's like pleasure system of your
No, but
body.
having sexual wires you for that.
Hmm.
Hmm. But again, like I just said, there are people who um don't like stay up all night researching and can't sleep, like because they're so obsessed with whatever it is. That doesn't mean they have sexual, but that is one way sexual instinct can like manifest and put you at risk at the same time if you're, but like you like you would have to be feeling a type of pleasure that is congruent with like other expressions of sexual in your life and not necessarily replacing. So I guess it could be like a form of kind of like repressed sexual energy for other people, but like it's being compartmentalized to this non-sexual thing, perhaps.
Hmm.
Um,
Makes sense.
yeah. But for me, like it's more just like I don't have a sense of like moderation and boundary very well. I've done a shit ton of fucking work to get there.
Hmm.
Um, and it's caused me a lot of problems in the social realm the most. Obviously, I'm a social dom. Um, but in sexual as well. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, like what else did you want to pick apart about that?
There's so much. So sexual is interesting because it seems like it keeps. Okay, so sexual is related to fire and water.
Yeah.
Um, with fire, I mean, we can imagine like a one of those hot air balloons where the fire is keeping it floating. And then with water, we like it. Look, keep in mind the keyword floating. So like things are floating. And then with water, we're literally able to float in water. And so like fire and water are both like the common, the mutual common thing is that it keeps things going.
Yeah.
And so like I'm like trying to understand why is there two elements? Like why did that happen in nature? Like why was it split into two?
So why is sexual split into two? Do you think?
Yeah, like why is it taking two elements and the other instincts are not?
Yeah, I think that that's a EU theory, but like I see it, so I get your point. Um, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me in the way that sexual is like a creation process. No, that doesn't mean if you really like are into making art, you have sexual instinct, but like there's a sense of being um uninhibited and forever changed by completely submitting to the craze of sexual being. Um, and that is a form of alchemy. And I mean, I'm no expert on alchemy, but like what that entails to me is that process of two types of matter, two forces intermingling and becoming something else. Um, and two
Mm.
oppositional things, and fire and water are very oppositional because like water puts fire out and fire wants to.
Do you think that the thing that when those two things intermingle, do you think that the thing that it becomes reflects um the creator, if that makes sense?
I don't know if I know what you mean.
So like when two like when fire and water are mixed together, they're like is there someone behind that is predetermining what becomes of that mixture?
I mean, I are the things behind it not fire and water themselves? Are you trying to ask me if I believe in God? Like what?
I mean, like, is okay. Um, that
Whoops. Go ahead.
would be that would be a very interesting turn in this interview, but we're not doing that. So, um,
I know that's not what you're saying, but like that's what the like logical conclusion is. So I was like, what?
I'm gonna say it this way. I'm like tapping into my 974 a little bit
Yeah, I can
because
feel
it
it.
because
You
it
do
I can only
energies.
understand sexual through 974. And so like whenever I imagine it, I always think of it as this very like fantasy like escapism experience.
Mhm.
So like okay, so what I'm trying to say is that like So let's say that, like, well, first of all, let me clarify. So, when it's fire and water, is that the same thing as saying that there's always an initiator and somebody that holds the vibration of the experience, like in a sexual instinct interaction, if that makes sense?
I mean, it's kind of a dance, right? There has to be predator and prey, but usually, like, that role within a sexually alive connection, kind of, there might be someone who's predominantly more one or the other, but it's not isolated to each individual or each stimulus. Like, it's kind of like the polarity of that gets turned on its head fairly often, and that's what keeps it moving. That's what makes it exciting.
So it's
Um,
the polarity is what ends up guiding the experience itself by itself.
yeah, I guess so.
Hmm. That's where I get scared.
Why?
That is exactly where I get scared because that implies that nobody is in control of the experience.
No, they're not. That's the whole point. You can do things to like create more movement, but it's if you could, perfectly plot it out, then it wouldn't be so addictive, and it wouldn't be so it wouldn't have the quality of excitation.
Hmm.
Like a I don't know, like, obviously you can be excited socially and in a self-pres way, but like it's not
Hmm.
it's like chemicals that signal something else. Like chemicals for the sake of something else. Like sexual is more chemical for the sake of chemical to me.
I kind of see where sexual is very different from social and self-presence instincts because sexual wants you to not know what's going to happen so that you can
Because that's
fully
what increases tension
emotionally
between
experience it.
between the magnets, between the two ends of things, between object and objectified.
Hmm. Whereas, I guess like with social and self-pres, we're trying to make everything more predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're
everything is more
structured.
like, yeah, like it's more like you're in control of it, somebody's in control of it socially.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just totally, things are known, things are controlled, there's no surprises.
This is why I can feel people's instincts when they have sex.
Mm,
Because I can sense who's trying to create s- predictable snapshots, even if they are like very raunchy in the way they move their body, in the way that they hold poses, in the way that they talk or don't um, sexually, versus who is truly like spiraling down the rabbit hole.
mm, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Who's
still
who's
scared.
who's actually coming? Yeah,
That's fucking intense to me. Like this, like
it is.
spiraling down the yes, like spiraling down the rabbit hole. It sounds like it literally sounds like a drug experience to me.
It is, and it's very demonized. Um, I think I've had my personal experiences with the Holy Trinity that I'm still working out because they challenge things about my typological nature and also about like what I currently believe and stuff. But I at the end of the day, I still like I see how the Christian faith and Christian scripture like I won't really speak for other Abrahamic faiths, but how it like the goal is to never spiral, but there's also an understanding that we are fallen and always will, but that's something you always want to continuously get away from. But like we wouldn't be incarnate here without that being part of the purpose of like being alive in a body, you know?
Hmm.
So it's just
Hmm.
interesting that spirality, that incarnation, that desire is outsourced to a narrative of rebuilding over and over again as close to the sky as possible, you know, rather than it being accepted as a part of the process of existence.
I see what you're saying. Like, why would that be infused in what we're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
if they are
The
speaking of it as if it doesn't include that?
Yeah, if the only goal was to to stay away.
Yeah, like it doesn't make sense.
No, and like I don't think I could ever. I don't think I could be Christian and like reconcile that.
Hmm.
So if I ever was Christian in the future, it would have to encapsulate that in some way in a much more, I guess, holistic sense. And that's what like um, pre-Christian European and also non-European indigenous life ways and spiritualities understand a lot more.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Hmm.
So there's it
I
is
sense like a frustration with like naturally having social sexual. It's like you're tapped into the wisdom of sexual, and you can't just like amputate that
no,
and
yeah,
adopt something that does not understand it.
yeah, like it's not even like would I have the self-discipline to do it? Like first of all, no, but even if I did, I don't think that's really the point. The point is that it just feels wrong
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
way that sexual probably feels wrong to all the social self-prezzies that built up these traditions in the first place.
Hmm. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So it just belongs in a different place, and that's it.
I guess so, yeah.
Mhm. Hmm. Interesting. So, electricity is also associated with sexual, right?
Like archetypally,
Yeah, like within the elements, they would place electricity with sexual, right?
yeah, I would say so. That's like an extension of fire to me.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
people generally tend to describe their sexual experiences as being electric, like when it's, present and online. Like it just, in the sense that it's fast and bright and um, uh, unevenly distributed and hot and
Polarizing.
polarizing and sudden. Like all of those things are true
Hmm.
about SX.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if um this is gonna get a little bit TI and
Okay.
CC, but so like we have fire and water. And
You're just getting me a blast for you, but like,
I
sure.
know, right?
Well,
All right, but this will be interesting. So like, are we assuming?
mhm.
I'm making you blasted, but like, are we assuming that like fire is the male or the masculine role within sexual, whereas water is like the female slash feminine role? And like within anybody that has, I mean, everybody has sexual somewhere, but like when people do sexual, are they like corresponding to one or the other within that experience, do you think? Or is there like some more like androgynous fluids interaction about it? I'm curious.
um, are you asking if I think those are the appropriately assigned like gender flavors to the elements, or
Mm,
if
I
or
mean,
if, like,
male female is very like I mean, I feel like masculine feminine is more accurate, I guess.
yeah, that's right.
Um,
But are you asking me if fire is masculine, water is feminine? Or are you saying like do men have more
no,
fire,
no, no, no.
have more water? Okay.
Not nothing about men and women necessarily, but what I'm trying to say is that like
I
within
think you know
every single sexual like sexual instinct experience, is somebody always taking the masculine role, and are they like
oh, okay.
fire in that?
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like you have to have fire and water, not water and water, fire and fire type deal,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Mhm.
like it becomes more because like social is more about um like merging with like attracts like, merging with people you share stuff with, literally or abstractly. Um and separating from those that you don't as much, right?
Mhm.
And that's why sexual is kind of like the antagonist of social. I mean, they all antagonize each other, but like because it's kind of it's bringing together that which are oppositional. And that's why a lot of sexual gets outsourced to violence, whether it's sexual violence or even non-sexual violence, because that sense of um, dynamic polarization isn't being lived out.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
people crave it somewhere in some way. So it has to erupt eventually.
Hmm. So there's like a sort of we get like permanently bound to the fate of if that interaction is lived out or not, and if it isn't, then there's like this like absolute like the purpose of that person or being's life is um ruined if it's not lived out.
Like if their last instinct isn't played out appropriately.
Like if the sexual is not played out, would that ruin their life?
Yeah, in some way. Like yes and no, because like sexual is ruinous. So like it's paradoxical. But
Hmm.
I was saying this to you like yesterday, like so much of sexual instinct, like at least for, like I can say this for myself, like it makes life worth living. Like it's really a quality enhancer.
Hmm.
But it's not necessarily like it's not needed to like survive the next 5 minutes,
Hmm.
like still come out literally breathing. Um, so, but it's ruinous in the sense that you may never know, like you may trap yourself in things that you don't even want.
Hmm.
never be able to leave, especially if you're like attachment as well, or you might be, you know, shutting a lot of doors, but you're shutting the wrong ones. So what do you do then?
Interesting. So my next thing to flesh out here, I'm actually gonna step back for a second to something I'd already asked
Okay.
about the masculine feminine being associated with the fire and the water in sexual,
Hmm.
where like I'm just trying to understand. Um, so let's say that well, let me directly ask this. So like in your case, like as social sexual, would you say that it's like you have more flavors of because social is air or it's associated with air?
Hmm.
Um, would you say you're more like air water as like being a feminine or like
Oh,
is that
uh,
accurate or no?
that's so funny because like in like in Hellenistic astrology, I'm like
Hmm.
Aries, Gemini moon,
Hmm.
Cancer rising. So like
Uh,
I miss the earth element, but in Vedic I don't. I'm actually missing water.
hmm.
Because I'm Aries, Taurus, Gemini rising. Um, and then I think this
I
is,
think if we add a fourth system, we're gonna explode.
yeah. So like, no, but I just mean that like, um, anyway, it doesn't matter. But um, I think I think even sometimes, you know, like on a social level, it does like startle me a little bit, like how much capacity I
Hmm.
have to be fiery, but also to be totally watery. I think that's kind of the FM story, like the FMTSE story. And I think even though a lot of us don't necessarily have sexual instinct in the top two, like that's why people associate high sexuality with us is like that polarity. Funnily enough, I've been like studying a lot of like very sexual blind like polarity teachings because
Hmm.
like I can approach things in a fiery way naturally because like I'm not afraid and like I have enough gusta whatever
Hmm.
to go for it. But I actually really feel unloved um when that's not like returned, and being like too far into the fiery consuming predator role, like as a female that wants to be pursued, kind of fucks you over. So I've actually ironically been taking some pages out of the out of the more traditional sexual blind playbooks because I wasn't having lasting self-pres informed like relationships, even friendships, without solidifying some of the natural polarity, which is ironic, I suppose.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So you're saying, correct me if I'm understanding it correctly, but
Hmm.
so you're saying that within your friendships, sometimes you would not get the polarity that you were looking for because you're
More
sexual
in my
second?
sexual, like romantic arena.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, but yeah, even like in relationship, like relating to men in general, and like,
Hmm. So I,
yeah.
I want to make this clear.
Uh
Do
huh.
you identify more with the fire side then? If you're saying that there's a lot of that in your
I
personality?
don't, but like I still have a lot of it, and I
Hmm.
think it's just like easier to see because like it is like a like fire makes itself known and it's like externalizing.
Hmm.
So like water is yin receptive and quiet, right? Like you would need a lot more for it to look balanced, if that makes sense. At least in my head. Like I'm maybe full of shit, but
I
Um,
hear you. I hear you.
yeah, like I like what I try to do often is I'll like use some fire to initiate and then be like, okay, like waiting,
Hmm.
be initiated upon, but they don't know how to like move back and forth like that.
Yeah.
And like I do like I can initiate very strongly, right? But I want to like it's natural for me to spend more time like in a yin space sexually, especially on the physical level. Um and I think that speaks to even like the non-instinctual parts of my Enneagram type as well. Cause like two is that kind of like penetrating heart. There's a giving to get quality even when we don't want to look at that. Like it's there. But then, I have like the whole like 6-9, like, like that's like the submission stem. Like, I don't mean submission like compliant. I mean like to allow forces bigger than you to take you over, right? Um, and I, yeah, I have like a lot of, oh, and like assuming that, 3, 7, 8 wings are correct.
Hmm.
Um, that's like triple get mine, right? So there's kind of like a lot of receptive submission and self-serving hidden in my whole type structure that would further allow me to like be a pillow princess or just like to be a receiver of things. Um I still like manipulate it so that I am giving a lot, but I feel like what ends up happening sometimes is like I put all my fiery all sexually, even non-sexually, right? Like into a shorter time frame, and then like the receiving kind of like stretches out for a
Mm.
while. Um I don't
Hmm.
think like two wing threes especially are like as martyring as people like to think we are. So
Mm.
that's more like the
So wait,
six,
wait, wait. So,
6-9, 6-1 type of
so
area. Yeah.
where is the fiery like? Cause okay, so like, if I'm understanding correctly,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that you throw the fire first. Do you think that's coming from the two, or is that like coming from your
It's
overlay, or?
it's the two, it's the social sexual, like it's,
Okay.
it's the reactive fix, possibly 9 wing 8. Like
So it's
it's like
not necessarily your overlay.
I think it's like all of those things except for 9, really. Like, um, and but I'm like one thing, I guess this is why two is kind of like sexual, especially like sexual social, because there's more movement than sexual self-pres, because there's no grounding. It's like you're you're doing something sexually hooking, sexually enticing, um that may or may not include something like physically sexual. It might just be like the way you say a word. Um
Mm.
but like
Hmm.
you're doing it to like bring it back to yourself
Mm.
as well. But a lot of like there are a lot of
Interesting.
people that just sit there in it, and aren't engaging in the flipping.
Interesting. I kind of like. I feel like I know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I feel like anybody with Demon and I, or at least this is what I kind of thought before, but I feel like anybody with Demon and I would relate to that
Hmm.
in the sense that it's like we're not allowed to say what we mean without proving it. And so, like, there's just certain areas or places where we're trying to, like, say something without spelling it out. And so, like, I kind of relate to, like, occasionally playing that game where, like, the tone is everything,
Has to
or
be
like,
like
yeah.
unexplicit to be sexual instinct necessarily, because I could be like, I could
Mhm.
say something super explicit, like and I have, I could say like, so are we gonna get out of here so you can fuck me or what? Like, that's very, very
Mhm.
straightforward and not hiding in a tension.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's still designed to create tension because I'm waiting. Like, I'm not like, let's go, chop chop. Like, I'm waiting
So
for you.
that's probably more the fire side of
That's the
sexual then.
fire side, yeah. So I'm waiting for you to react, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna treat you like that in the entire interaction and the entire energy exchange. Not at all. Like, I'm gonna be like, so you're gonna take me home and fuck me? Okay.
I see.
You know? Like, and I can flip that very easily. But
Hmm.
I'm like, it can be like that fire you're describing is kind of like
Hmm.
psychologically masculine or whatever, but I'm not doing it in a butch way at all.
I see. So it's just the fact that it's meant to bring the entire space back into the sexual instinct.
It's meant to, it's call and response, and it's meant to increase excitement and tension. So I'm not sitting there and holding it and letting it be the thing. Like, you're gonna escalate it or you're gonna de-escalate it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you might do it by, if you were to come back at me with like, Virginia, I know you're out here listening to this at some point in the future. So my sexual buddy. But if you were to, sorry, just imagine her like receiving that. But if you, if you, uh, okay, okay, here's what I'm trying to say. Well, if you're like meeting me with the same, like with, you're either gonna like top it or you're gonna like bring it back down, but not bring it back down that it goes nowhere where you're shutting it down. So you could be
Hmm.
like, I could say something like that, and you could respond with like, who says we're gonna wait till we get home? That would be it.
Hmm.
That would be meeting it with like an escalation, which would push me into the receiving space of, oh, is that so? Hmm. You know, because it can only escalate so far before it has to de-escalate, but that leaves room to escalate again. So it's
That
constant.
reminds me, it reminds me so much of, it's like it's literally like a conversation.
Yeah, it's a
Like
dance.
it's just like literally like somebody takes the lead and you just kind of you you're basically saying the rules of the game through the way that you swirl the energy initially, and then the other person has to respond with how do they like either expand that ripple or or die it down, like fade
Like,
it down or something like
when
that.
we look at like actual like sex, like genital sex, or like the um trajectory of,
Sex.
or the trajectory of like an orgasm, right? Like, it involves a series of like tension and release, or like
Hmm.
inward and separating, inward and separating. Like, you don't have
Hmm.
sex just like being like, okay, like even if it's not a penis vagina in out thing, like there's still some degree of back and forth. Like you're not just sitting there for very long in one place. It's a
Mm-hmm.
constant motion. It's a constant back and forth. It's a constant in and out. It's a constant up and down, right? Like, and that emanates from outside of literal fucking and everything.
Mm, interesting.
So, you know, I could say something like, so you're going to take me home and fuck me, but I could also apply that same energy to something not considered sexual at all. Like I could walk up to my professor and be like, so are you going to give me an A? And it has that
Mm-hmm.
exact same tone, that exact same signature, that exact same tension, that exact same initiation, everything. But we're talking about grades. That's not sexual.
It's the same puzzle piece in
It's
that
yeah,
case.
it's the same imprint.
Mm, interesting.
And then the way to respond to that in a sexual way would be like, you know, we might have to add a minus to that. Like there's just ways that sexual instinct comes out beyond, like sexual instinct is sexual. Because when I say it like that, you instantly think of sex and sexuality, right? But it also bleeds into areas of life that, like,
Oh,
because it's about the game of attraction and pulling and pushing,
I see
it
something here.
areas
So,
are not sexual, like
okay.
unintentionally, you know?
No, I get you. I feel like
And
the
that's how we
instincts
piss
are
everyone off.
the instincts are like it's your psychology is essentially conserving the timeline of achieving that instinct,
Mm-hmm.
and it's applying that to everything that it thinks about. Like things end up in a similar shape or in a similar swirl or whatever
Mm-hmm.
of achieving that instinct. And so as you're acting out behaviors and interacting with people, there's a resemblance of achieving that instinct and a conservation of staying on that track.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
It follows you everywhere.
hmm. That's where, like, as a sexual blind, um, I feel like I don't feel like I'm like 100% out of tune with it. I just feel like I just recognize fewer places where I can achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you would
Like I
compartment.
want to. I absolutely want to. Obviously, I feel like it's the most fun thing in the world. Like I emotionally resonate with that statement. Like it's amazing in that sense, but like I feel like I just don't know where to find it, I guess is one way to put it.
Yeah. Well, that speaks to like last instinct outsourcing and compartmentalizing, because it's like, oh, it only exists like in this arena that's for that. And like that compartmentalizing has a biological function, because like there's only so much that, say, like children should be exposed to, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
um so I think there's a reason we developed that way, is what I'm trying to say. And that most people are sexual blind. Like it does protect the health of our future generations. Yes, I see that. Um, but it still has to be there in people.
Eventually.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the compartmentalizing aspect, and then the outsourcing is like, I don't know where to get this. I actually feel like that with like I think I might be like demon friends and social hierarchy. So I kind of like sometimes see people just have like a shit ton of like friends, and I'm like, huh? Like, how do you do that? And it feels like I have to access it like through something else or whatever, like maybe through a rejection offering. And anyway, but um,
Hmm.
social 2 problems, but not social hierarchy 2. Enneagram SO 2 and 3.
Hmm.
But yeah, like, so in what you said, what I was trying to say is like, I hear this lack of ego identification and ownership around bringing sexual yourself. Like, it has to
It
be,
is tough. I
yeah.
mean, like, I try, like,
I
I
totally
feel
have
like,
empathy, by the way. I'm not trying to be like, this is
no,
your
I hear you.
yeah.
No, I hear. I feel like, I feel like a lot of sexual blinds relate to this because so many people literally say this, but like,
Hmm.
it's not that they don't have sex, obviously.
Hmm.
It's just more that, yeah, like I guess because we don't conserve the sexual instinct into our consideration of everything psychologically.
Hmm.
There's like a cringe to the way that we approach it.
Yeah.
There's like a sort of like I don't know what I'm doing. Like literally I don't know what I'm doing, but like I'm trying to do it to
Hmm.
it. Whereas like when you have the sexual instinct, it's very clear without it being like cringe or without it being like obviously trying too hard or anything like that.
It can be cringe, but in a different way. Like, not cringe as in like restriction, but cringe as in like, ew. Like, it can be repulsive. Like, social sexual can be disgusting. But in terms
Elaborate, please.
of just being like just like just because it's social sexual doesn't mean it's like always on point, you know. Like, me saying that to my prof, like, actually me behaving that way to a prof in the past, like, really fucked both of us over, you know.
Hmm.
Like, so I don't.
I get what you mean. Like it ended up spiraling things
Yeah,
too
it's
much.
when I think about it, I'm like, oh, cringe. Or like, other people might have seen our interactions and be like, ew, cringe, like, ew, gross, like, what are you doing, you know. But it's not like a cringe that comes from like trying to release something. It's a cringe that comes from like, oh, I spilled, like, ew, a stain, like,
Do
uh,
you think that sexual middle is more destructive to sexual blinds than sexual dominant is?
yeah, because it's less discerning.
Hmm.
Especially social sexual is gross. I don't feel like I'm gross, but like, I know like how other people see.
Hmm.
So yeah. And like,
Hmm.
I've been around SPSXs that are like, especially if they have any like 7 playfulness, like, where it's just
Hmm.
LOL, ew, what the fuck. And the sexual doms are like,
I'm sure it's different.
they're
Like
just
for
like,
like,
they're just like, why would you act like it's nothing,
hmm,
you know? It's not nothing to us, but it's just like, we just have an easier time with it, you know.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that like self-dressed sexual versus social sexual is very different just
Mhm.
because you're aware of social and they're not. So how do you see that like the main difference between those two?
Oh yeah. Um, they can be really callous. Like, they can just like follow the sexual impulse, like, because they're not gonna have that social part that's like, unless they have a lot of super ego, that's like, maybe we should not do that in front of, like, maybe we shouldn't hear. Like, if they want to do it there, they will. And I don't mean necessarily like literal sex, but like being sexual, being like a sexually awake person, like,
Do you, okay, so are you saying that having social gives you a tinge of superego just from the social,
I mean,
and then the self-dressed
it's
sexual don't
in a
have
form
that?
of ego type, but like it gives me a sense of like, how's this going to go down socially a little bit? Not enough to
Hmm.
stop necessarily, but I am
Hmm.
concerned with how people are going to feel about what I do in general. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to cause social harm, but also like on the flip side of that, I have like social reasons why being a T, lol, why like being more sexually like liberated or conscious is good for humanity and good for like like friendships and relationships and whatever. So, but yeah, like I've seen other social sexuals be like appalled by the social consequences of some people's like sexual decisions, but not in the same way as social self-pres. It's different because
That is interesting. I'd never thought of that before, but yeah, like
I'm
being
social.
social sexual,
Mm-hmm.
you use sexual to support social.
Yeah, yeah.
So is that like some kind of
Whereas like with social blinds, they're like doing it instead of social. so so there's not necessarily like any like deeper connection or like bonding going on. It might be like psychologically significant and very deep, but it's not like supporting any like relatability, you know? So sometimes I feel like I have like tickets to a porn show I didn't ask for when social blinds are like talking to others or like,
hmm
you know what I mean? I'm like, why are we even like, okay. Like I feel like I should be able to like if I'm there like hook in somehow, right? Like cuz why would I be here otherwise? Like hello.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
How do you see like when you walk into a store or like
Mhm.
somewhere that where there's a lot of sexual
Oh,
blinds?
wait, before you ask that, I also wanted to say social blinds also avoid a lot of social things and like spaces because they are too, especially if they have any floor in them, like they're like disgusted by the lack of sexual, so they stay away. Like they can't like get any like electricity from it or like bring any. So it's like why bother? No point. Um but yeah, what were
Hmm.
you gonna say?
Okay, that's interesting. So wait, are you saying that social blinds are focused on bodily pleasure? Like,
Uh,
is that
more than self-pres blinds. Yeah.
okay?
Um,
Interesting.
but yeah. So what were you gonna say? Sorry, I just had to shit that
Okay.
before it left me. Before I.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear before I move on. But so I was saying that when you are in a place where there's a whole bunch of sexual blinds, which is probably like every day or some shit.
Yeah.
So
Sadly.
what are what are you thinking? Like, what do you think is happening? Like when they're interacting and trying to do,
I
let's say they're trying to do something that's supposed to be
Yeah,
sexual.
I'm like, okay, there's a structure here. Like degrees of closeness I'm not supposed to cross, degrees of personal revealing I'm not supposed to do.
Hmm.
Like there's like, and I'm like, why? Like, and my mom is super sexual blind 6, and like it triggers her so bad. Um,
Mm.
she's self-pres social, but she has a very like social self-prezi, like she has a lot of super ego is what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah, and I just, yeah, I don't get it, but I can feel something is happening, and I'm like, what is this? Like, and then that's part of how I end up like starting drama by like crossing lines I didn't really like know were there or like know what they were. And like 2 is worse for that because it's like penetrative. So oopsie. Like uh there's a sense that
So you cross lines around sexual blinds a lot, you think?
just like lines of intimacy and like lines of like personal detail and like revealing and like I don't have a lot of boundaries. So like I
Mm.
remember I had like a um I was in an academic partnership with this woman, um, when I was in college. Like we weren't even really friends, but we were like working together. And she like was really offended. She was social self-pres and like really offended that I like mentioned something about like my partner having done shrooms that weekend and like trip sitting him. Like I
Oh,
just
really?
normal information to share with people that you somewhat know, but she was like
Mm-hmm.
she kind of distanced herself from me at some point. I can't remember if it was,
Mm.
I don't know, like, but she mentioned that incident and like something else that I had said as I think like either it made her uncomfortable. I don't remember, but it was bad. Like it was a bad thing. And like I was like, oh, like so I felt really bad because I was like, I didn't know, like, and looking back, she's like a buttoned up type of person. So like of course
Mm-hmm.
who's like probably doesn't do shrooms and this and that. So
Right.
um, there's probably people who are social self-pres that wouldn't have bothered, but they would still have this sense of like, ooh, like, are we supposed to?
Yeah, I feel like when you make social self-pres with a bunch of super ego or something,
Yeah. But even like if you could
yeah.
like a fucking like Kyle six social self-pres with something to prove who like would say that. But they're still saying that knowing that they're not supposed to say that. Like I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't like
I,
I'm
I
like
sense it very acutely.
shocked. What?
Like I have a very acute sense for that. And like I know that you're not supposed to say things.
Yeah,
Um
like why would you hide that? I don't get it. I don't understand. But I can intellectually wrap my head around it more now, but it's still
but that's interesting though because you are social dominant and like from my standpoint, I think
sharing,
it's my
caring.
social.
Sharing is caring. If we're not
But
sharing,
like
we're not caring. That's the
but
whole
but
social
it
stuff.
becomes different, I guess, when you put the self-pres next to social because it's like social rules about
Yes.
safety,
Yeah.
safety and physical things.
Hmm.
And so like for my brain, it's thinking like, okay, well, you don't want them to know that you're okay with drugs because then they're going to assume that you do drugs and you can't do drugs because of the
Like
job.
that I don't do drugs. Plus, even if I did drugs, who? Oh well. Like,
I
what?
know you don't, but the thing is that like in the social self-pres box, it echoes like that.
You're defined by like what you do, right? And then social self-pres is looking at that and being like, okay, do we fall into the same definition or no? And like six gives me a little bit of that, but like not enough. um so like, to me it's just like, oh, like this interesting thing happened.
Right. I just feel like with social, I feel like a big thing about social in general is hints. Like
Uh-huh.
hints about like are you associated in that pool or that pool or that pool or that pool
Yeah.
based on what you're saying. So like when you throw
Oh,
that
one
in
day
there,
told me, I'm
yeah.
like there's different like swimmers in the pool, but like aren't we all in the pool together? Like I don't understand. What do you mean? Why are you
Oh my
getting out?
god.
Where are you going? Like what happened?
I don't know. I guess like depending on what pool that you're in, at least for social self-pres, it determines if you belong with them. So that lady that heard you and got
Just
upset
in
about
my
it,
okay,
she's
but
like,
in
"Oh,
my
you're different. You're
yeah,
different
like
than me."
I'm like, no, listen, I'm like, what? Well, they could swim over to this side, or they could like swim over with that person, but we're all like sharing the water, like, and we're all aware. Like
Mm,
that's why I love parties, like intimate parties, like you know, there, I think like the bigger like raver type party scene is more self-prezi because it's like just like raw body stimulus and not about like a scene that is interacting, right? But like it's like like I just want to like I might get locked into one space, which means I'm leaving other people or things out, but
Hmm.
the I'm still getting there even if I do get locked on by like swimming around or flying around. Isn't that what you do? Like, oh, I just and I have such a pro social, like a very peoply try fix, right? So it's just like doubling down on that.
I
And
mean, you're also sin flow,
yeah,
whereas social self-pres
well,
is conscious
yeah,
flow. So I'm
sexual is
curious.
less of a big pool.
I'm gonna try to frame it as a specific way.
Sorry.
So like, Drew Barrymore is social sexual,
Yes.
and she's always touching legs on her show and everything.
And
She's
she's
just
too
always
big.
this thing with fucking legs. I don't understand, but
Yeah.
so like, do you think because she's sin flow and social dom, there's more of a touching that is occurring as a social dom, whereas with social self-pres, there's more of like a don't touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say don't touch me sometimes, like I said that in one of my typing videos, but that more refers to like I don't like to be touched in rough and clinical ways because I like
Mm,
listen, I have a delicate constitution. Okay, I'm physically well, I feel more physically fragile than I actually am because I underestimate my body's like like ability to, you know, survive being self-prevalent. But like I have like what am I trying to say? Um yeah, like I don't want to be like touched in a medical way or like I don't want to be hurt, like stuff like that and like be in my body in a way I can't tolerate, you know, that. But like I don't like if I'm on the bus or in public, like I have to like I won't always like I don't have this like alarm bell that's like oh I'm too much in their space like very strongly, but because I can
hmm.
feel people, I can feel them like react quickly and I'll like react accordingly, so it looks almost identical on the surface to someone who's naturally just kind of like trying to create space,
I
but
see.
there's like a split second where I'm not considering that until I socially notice it and I'm like oh shit, like so then when you add in to
Mm.
people I actually want to connect to, it gets very messy. But I'm not super touchy feely with um like non-sexual like people that I absolutely would never fuck either. Like I have a sexual repulsion response too. So
Mm.
like I don't know how to
So you
explain it.
would not. So I'm curious. Would you cuddle with a stranger?
Maybe depends on what they were like, but them being a stranger would not disqualify me from cuddling them, no.
I see.
Yeah. Like if it I don't know, it could be a good time.
It's weirder for me. I feel like for me with social self-pres 8, I'm like very. I'm so weird with like touching, and I'm like hyper aware of it when I go out. I feel like I'm constantly um
Yeah.
that's the worst thing possible, is that like I bump into the wrong person, or like
Oh,
um
like
stuff like that.
no, I like have a withdrawn fix, so there's a sense of like I can easily be impeded on, but it's not like ew, people separate from me so much as it's like I also don't have any for, so like, you know, like not even
Hmm.
going anywhere. Um, so that helps with the whole like synflowy shit. But yeah, I just like, I'm not, if I don't have a disgust response towards someone or something, I don't really, I guess I don't care much. Like, it's fine, you know?
Mm. And are you actively trying to filter out people that disgust you from the circle?
No, like, it is what it is.
Mm.
I'll notice it. And like,
Mm.
I feel like I can be like, I can have a quasi sexual tinge of like feelings towards people without wanting them enough to actually like have any kind of sexual interaction like explicitly.
Hmm.
So like, I definitely have friends where I'm like, oh yeah, like it wouldn't gross me out to like kiss them, but I
Hmm.
don't like, I'm not like fucking like frothing at the mouth for them either, so it stays in the friendship place.
Right,
But I
right.
feel like people who like, you know, like sexually turn me off, like off, it's harder to have an emotionally close relationship with them.
Hmm.
I either have to feel like that way about them or like in some way, this is some two shit, okay? Some way that they're like my child. Like if someone's really cute, I'm like, oh my God, like, and I wanna just like squish them or hold them or
Hmm.
something. But yeah, I guess that is okay, because I had like some issues around platonic physical intimacy, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I think if I'm not coming from like the nurturing space, it's harder for me. But because sexual is like mute, like two poles by design, it's less, there's a bit less of that problem, I think. And it's
Mm.
selfish by design and this and that. So,
So you're very in tune with if things are attractive to you, but are you
yeah.
necessarily in tune with why?
I don't need to have reasons before, like ready to go, but I
Mm.
can easily think of them or like
Mm.
talk until I get there, like as a, I guess a blaster would, a TE
Hmm.
blaster. But yeah,
Mm.
like what even is a reason? You know, like I can make sense of almost anything. I feel like so. I'm not really like concerned about whether my FI or my SX like makes sense.
I mean, that's a tricky question. I feel like a reason is just something that ties something else back to something that makes more sense.
Sure, like okay, like make me pick someone or something and I can try it out right now.
Okay, what is your? I don't know why I feel like doing that three questions game.
Okay.
Okay, so what's your favorite color?
My favorite color, pink.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like,
And three deep reasons why.
okay. So this isn't a reason, but like a segue. It's pretty much always been pink. And I've had phases where I've like given more attention to other colors. But I feel like pink, I don't know if this is going to be three, whatever, but pink for me, like holds the space for like softness and intensity at the same time. Whereas like blue doesn't have that heat factor, that warmth factor. It can be really like
Hmm.
receptive and calming. Like I love blue as well, but it doesn't have that like pink is light red. It's red
Hmm.
white. Like it's that sereneness of white added to
Yeah.
the heat of red. Like that's just perfect. Um and I guess I also socially like that it's associated with femininity, and like a feminine role, so I can like use it to flag in that way, socially and sexually. You know, people have ideas about what type of person you are in friendship and in the bedroom if you're like using a lot of pink, right? Like, hello. Um, and okay, a third would be
Hmm.
I don't know, I feel like one captured it really well. um it's you can, I guess you can use a lot of it without it being too much. Right? I feel like red is like one of the other colors that I feel closely connected to. Like red, you can't, like, it's more overpowering, so like it needs to be used more sparingly to like have the same vibe. So I can like be a fucking glutton with pink without like totally assaulting my senses. Like my
Mm-hmm.
bedroom is full of pink and I didn't do it on purpose. It just happened. Like I picked out this pink, someone bought me this pink bedding and I picked it out. It was the nicest one, like objectively as well, like from a design taste standpoint. And it worked good with stuff that I had, but like it's just so pretty. And like um I
Mm-hmm.
my friend gave me that pink dream catcher. I have another pink dream catcher that I bought. Like my friend bought me a pink water bottle because like it just like it adds up. And before, like for a long time before I get to that place where I'm like, okay, like I need some white, I need some black, I need something else. Whereas like even like in an outfit maybe I can handle more red because it's not like all around me, it's like coming from me, so that's different. um yeah,
Mm.
you can just be a collector about it without it being like
Too
overly
much.
overly or underly stimulating. Yeah, it's just got
Mm-hmm.
such flexibility to it, such staying power.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's very SF consumed stuff, I feel. But
I was not expecting that. Those are very elaborate, very good reasons.
thank you.
Um, I would not have been as good about
No,
it,
I just like it.
honestly.
Well, that's what they say, like TE is, but like those are also like highly complex feelings. I can just talk them. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like my reasons for my favorite color are more like psychological, like, in the sense that like because I understand like what's going on in my psychology
Hmm.
that makes this color desirable or not desirable. I am choosing that color because it's more beneficial than how
That's
another
so
color psychologically.
PTI. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so the next one is, what is your favorite animal?
And
3 deep reasons why.
yeah. I have two in the top spot.
Pick one. One is gonna die. The other one you can have forever.
Oh no.
I gotta flex my a little bit at some point.
Okay, like it's elephant and deer, which are both like super like 6'9" creatures. But I'm gonna say deer just because like I don't uh like elephants are not relevant to
Oh my god.
to my local ecology.
Mm,
So um I don't get to have direct interactions with elephants the way I would with deer. So there's like a
mhm,
lack of deepening there. But I would never want to kill
mm.
off either from the planet, obviously. But so if I'm gonna go with deer, it's just this like they just give my body like such like there's an exciting element because of how difficult they are to encounter. Like it could be a second and they're gone. So like it kind of has that like a like a gasping quality to it, but also like an ASMR vibe, because like I actually feel it like here, because they're so they're so gentle and soft. It's hard not to like feel that in your body, like when you encounter them, even like images of their face and how they move. I like that they're graceful. I can be skittish. I can be really not skittish also. It depends. So I don't think they're my perfect psychological correlation necessarily, but they do encapsulate like a part of me, obviously, if I like them. And they're just so, and they give their life for us to, especially my indigenous ancestors, like my Mi'kmaq ancestors, like took every part of the deer's body with such gratitude and such holiness. And I just feel like that's so, you can't beat that. Like those things combined together. I have a deerskin drum, and I have deerskin moccasins, and yeah, like I'm really grateful to have to participate like culturally because of them, and because like it's just like I don't know how else to say it, but it's such a gift.
Interesting. I see a lot of the social sexual, not even the social part. I'm noticing particularly the sexual instinct in your answers.
Yeah.
Um, in a way where like I don't like do the same, like I can see the SEFI and OPS, the terms of that, but like I'm still doing it differently than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Where like you are
It's
tracking
abstract.
more of the, yeah, like you're tracking more of the arousal
Yeah.
that something gives you, or the sensation, or the freedom that it allows you, that is attractive to you,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. Whereas for me it's more like psychological. It's totally
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like
interesting.
about like personal meaning making, and it kind of, and like you have a really intense body response to it, but it's not the same as like raw arousal,
Mm,
like channeled intensity or something, like
mm-hmm.
like like focused structured intensity, I suppose.
Mm.
Like these distant abstract concepts that represent like who you are.
I feel like when the intensity turns on, at least the way it feels to me, and totally correct me if I'm not even talking about the sexual instinct, but like it feels like a rain. Like there's like this rain of adrenaline in my body that
Like rain,
uncovers,
like giddy up.
like literally pouring rain.
Oh, that kind of rain. Okay.
Like it's just pouring, and it like uncovers a totally different um endpoint or goal
Yeah.
or mode of experiencing things.
Yeah.
Is that sexual?
Are you saying you feel like that on a regular basis, or are you saying that's what sexual feels like when you encounter it? Like what?
I do not feel that on a regular basis. I
Oh,
want it. I definitely
yeah.
want it more. It feels so like draining or
It
taxing
is.
or
I had this social sexual friend who like he would talk about like, oh, the greatest pleasure is like Like he has a body type, like a gut type as well. Like, oh, the greatest pleasure is to, like frolic and fuck in the rain. And aside from rain being like cold, I'm not really like a cold. I don't love the cold, but like the rest of it, yeah, like for sure. I understand exactly that impression. That just all,
Interesting.
yeah.
Speaking of rain, the third and last question
Okay.
is,
Weather.
um, if well, what is your favorite body of water and three deep reasons why?
Okay. These questions, I feel like I've. Did you like pull them from EU or something? They feel familiar.
No, I actually got this from Teal Swan. This is like a three
Oh,
psychological questions game, and I'm gonna tell you at the end what they
favorite
mean.
body of water. Um,
Body of water could be like water, it could be toilet water, it could be rain, it could
yeah, yeah,
be
yeah.
anything.
I get you. I don't think this was my answer in the past, but I'm really digging rivers right now.
Mm.
I went swimming in one. It was like it had like a more still kind of like beachfront, very small part of a big river, kind of like in a grove, on a trail.
Hmm.
I'm so blessed to live where I live, but um, yeah, like I can have a hard time being in like still bodies of water, which is probably surprising to no one. I guess in like I can have a lot of physical stagnation with the nine, but like um I'm attracted to
Mm.
environments with a lot of movement. It helps me be more stationary, if that makes sense. Because the
Movement.
movement has to come from like somewhere, whether it's, like it has to be happening in some way, I guess.
That
Um,
is very like fire water in a way, like
yeah,
yeah.
like, like, but the sound and just like the expression of things kind of like winding
Hmm.
and flowing is really attractive to me. I don't know.
I did hear that about nine that I think it was in the last pod actually, but they were saying that with nines, who was saying that? I think it was Alexandra.
Okay.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was actually from a class, the Bermuda class. Joseph was saying that his partner is either nine fixed or core nine, something like that. He
Okay.
didn't exactly say, but he said that whenever they have an argument, Joseph has to completely leave the area because his partner needs to like let the the fight settle so
Mm-hmm.
that so he can come back and have something to say about it, but he cannot process it in the moment
Mm-hmm.
because Joseph's presence is too big for him to be able to do that in the moment.
That's so true. Like, I have more of a capacity to like duke it out than that, especially if it's like online, because like there's less sensory like info happening
Hmm.
that I have to like filter through. Um, and sometimes I'm instigating. With my last partner, I instigated a lot of fights. But yeah, like if a presence does get like bigger than my body, like, and some people just feel that way. Like they might be like pushing and like more mentally sharp than me, and I'm like, ooh, like what? um Even still, like certain layers like don't process until later.
Hmm.
And are you relating that back to like needing movement, or what did that have to do with you?
Yeah, I was relating that back to like when you were saying like you like the river because it's moving you, it's doing the job of moving so that you
Mhm.
can do the job of sitting still.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just like I like the enveloping quality of rivers as well.
Hmm.
I like that they're going somewhere. Um,
Hmm.
I I feel really good in a moving car. That's like my shit.
Interesting.
Yeah. And my other answer was always like fairy pools, which is more specific. Obviously, we don't have a ton of them in like outside of Northern Europe, I guess, but um, just that like luminescent clandestine quality that they have
Hmm.
feels very like feels really me, I guess.
Hmm. Interesting. So now I'm gonna reveal what it means,
Oh
what your
no.
answers have
Okay.
meant.
Are you gonna teal the teal right now? What?
I'm going to teal the teal. Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So your first answer was pink.
Hmm.
To what is your favorite color, and that means that that's how you see your own personality,
Okay.
which makes sense. I mean, you're a two,
Yeah.
so it just lines up very neatly. So that's interesting. Um, and based on how you answered it, um, I feel like I don't know. I feel like your assertive wing kind of shows through it when you were saying that the way that you're able to use more pink in quantity than you would if it
Yeah.
was red is attractive to you. It feels like, oh, well, that's probably your assertive wing where you want to take up a little more space, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. And then your second answer was deer.
Hmm.
You like deers, and so
Okay.
so this actually means, and this touches on sexual. This actually means your ideal mate right now.
No.
It can change. Yeah.
Wrong. If I had to associate an animal with an ideal mate, ew. Okay. But the vibe would be like it would be I've been with some like very bear like people before.
Hmm.
With some very I like cat like qualities about people. Cat was
Hmm.
up there, so I'll give it that. But like deer would feel more like there's not enough polarity there. Like I feel like
Hmm.
yeah. Elephant I could see more because
Hmm.
the kind of like SP boulder quality like that I don't know, like who isn't attracted to nines, right? Like
Right.
yeah, so and the wanting like something to lean on and to carry, sure.
I guess elephant's more like nine wing eight area, right?
Yeah. I'm attracted to like almost the entire spectrum of the gut center in people except for eight wings seven like it's happened but it's there's less people with eight wings seven that's part of it but it doesn't it elicits like a different response for me that I also enjoy like I feel like it increases my like feminine energy but um
I,
I
I see Kim answer to
like
that.
so I love you Kim but like I was just thinking I'm like is anyone even fucking here right now so um don't tell me I don't want to know so um yeah like with like anything that has nine in the gut space kind of like it's creamy and it makes me creamy, you know? So one wing 2 and a wing 7 like give me less of that response in my body.
Mm-hmm.
But they still do. I would, yeah. 2 in the
Mm.
gut space is so fascinating. I'm gonna have to like ponder that more later. Um, it's not a super common fix in general, I feel. So I don't know
Yeah.
if I encounter it that often.
I guess a deer is more like a 9-wing-1 vibe, right?
Not even when
9-wing-1 with a 6 fix.
they're hot too. Yeah. It's also like a savior consume vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I I do love a good consume. They're not necessarily mopey. Obviously I like
Mm-hmm.
it too. Um and skips. Like both of those types are good at like the back and forth quality. I have a hard time with blast
Mm.
in general. And sleep blast. Save for like a couple of people I know where it's actually okay. But
Hmm.
if they're like a blastier douchebag, then because I feel
Mm.
like there's a lot about there's a lot of the world where I like kind of de pull back that in a sexual connection I want to be able to like um be my most, maybe not my most because that's a lot even for me, but like a more vibrant expression of myself. So I feel
Mm.
like that can be hard with someone who's also like super blasty because like no, I want to blast here like um and like
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, deer whatever. So what's the third one?
Yeah, so fuck the deer. We're killing the
So
deer.
I
We're
don't
gonna.
know. We're killing the deer and making moccasins.
That
Okay.
was a mistake. We meant something else.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sorry. Oh,
because like the whole time you were explaining the deer, I was like, oh really? I'm curious.
yeah, no, that was more like I was more like
It felt like you were describing a 9. I was like, okay, okay, so it's looking
yeah,
for a 9 right now.
I'm attracted to nines. Who isn't? Almost everyone is attracted to nines. The end. Nines.
Literally.
Let it get to their ego, down ego. I don't care.
I wonder if 9s are attracted to 9s.
They are. They're like
They are?
they're the ESFP. No, they fucking are. They're the
They're the
ESFP.
narcissist of the Enneagram,
Yes.
secretly.
You know how in ops ESFPs all fuck and date each other. It's the same shit.
Oh my god.
Cause it's like their opportunity. Now I get to be seen as deeply as I see others. Like not
I
like
don't think I've ever done that. I
in
don't
the
think I've
body.
ever dated another ESFP.
Another.
I don't think so.
We'll see.
But I probably dated a 9, and I have a 9 wing, so
Yeah. Uh,
yeah.
I could definitely date a 3.
Oh.
Yeah, especially 3 wing 2, because we're
Hmm.
in the same like we have the same like area. But they would need to have self pres. I feel.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I don't think it would like really
Too similar.
too similar. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
It would probably be in that gray zone of like, are we friends? Are we fucking? You know. Otherwise, yeah.
That's funny.
Okay,
Okay, so
the
all
water.
right. The last one is the water. Your favorite body of water. You said a river,
I did.
which is interesting because this one means dun dun dun. Okay, this one means how you like to have sex.
Oh, okay.
Like your favorite like position type of thing. So like a river's more so I guess a river's like the energy of like flow state sex, right?
Yeah, definitely for sure.
Hmm.
Also, like I feel like it showcases the double feminine SF very well
Hmm.
of being like carried away in the current, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. And it's also very nine fixed. Um, I almost feel like it's more nine wing eights fixed since you're like questioning on that side. What do you think?
Why? Really? Because I feel like rivers are like narrow and directional, and I associate that with like
Hmm.
one.
I could see that.
But the rapids part, yeah, probably winging.
That's yeah, that's where I'm like thinking because like with nine wing eights, like you're tensing your core, I guess, to try to stay in the same place.
Mm,
Um, with the eighth wing, it's like it's trying to be more boulder like or more able to be carried, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, like um, the river I went swimming in like is an extension of like really dangerous rapids, and
Hmm.
I like people go there all the time because like they're easily accessible to like sit on rocks next to and like hike around.
Hmm.
So like you can, and it's just one of my. I'm not a huge scenery person, but it is one of my. Like I am and I'm not because it's important to the vibe, but I'm not taking it into the degree of awareness and presence as self-prezi people are. I know that.
Mm.
Like it's like the backdrop. It's not the main event to me, but um I can really get into like my NF headspace more. Not that I'm not, but in a much more way that's not interrupted by like play and shit. I can just be like I love there's enough intensity energetically there to like really pull me in more.
Mm.
That's also like I guess kind of sexual too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
What were your answers? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. My first one was red,
Of
and
course. You're
my
wearing all red right
reasons,
now.
I know, right? It's
Sitting in front
I
of fucking
gave
lion.
it away. And my animal was not lion, so I guess
Was
yeah.
tiger.
So red. My three reasons for red were. Let's see if I even remember my reasons.
Hmm.
I know one of them was that I like the color red because it gives me like a charge that like gets me started.
Yeah.
That I feel like I can appreciate. I feel like if I wore a color like yellow or green or something like that, or even blue, like I feel like I would not be as ready
Right.
to do what I'm doing. And so I just appreciate that from red more. Um, which is a very blast last answer. It's like I'm appreciating how it helps me blast.
I
Anyways,
love
so
red
yeah,
too. I get you.
my other reasons, I don't know. I guess another reason would be um I just like the way it makes me feel.
Hmm.
Um very FI answer. In obvious, it's very FI, but like it I just like the way that it makes me um like containing it in my guts feels right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like I can keep it in there and I would feel like myself, I guess. That is
Yeah.
so weird to say.
No, I
But
I fully get that when I wear red. Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is how my body is supposed to take up space. Like, yep,
hmm,
yeah.
interesting. So that would be my second reason. My third reason would be I guess I feel like it's heavy enough to move things that I may need to move at some point.
Okay.
I can rely on it. That's another way to say it. It's reliable.
Ooh,
Yeah.
not you making
So
hot red pragmatic. I love it.
so those are my reasons for that. My animal was a giraffe, or at least that's what I said when I had answered these. I don't know if I would say that today. Let me see. what animal do I like today? Um, I don't know why I feel like saying pigs. I feel like my favorite animal today is a pig because, and it doesn't have to be a pig. It's more so, let me like narrow it a little better.
Yeah.
Because pig is weird. Fuck the pig. Um, it's more so like anything that has, I mean, it could also be like a cat.
Mm. I was thinking that for you because I feel like, especially knowing what the question means, I feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
attracted to cat-like
Mm-hmm.
features and stuff, especially being audio.
Mm-hmm. Like it would be some kind of cat that is not completely feral, like something that's more like you can actually pet it. Um, Even if it's like not completely friendly, you can still appreciate it from afar for being cute and what it is. Um, and there's just something about like the structure of a cat. It's not like muscular. It's more like it's a
Straight-
little bit fat. Like it has a little bit of a um something you can grab. I Oh my
Yeah.
God. This is like the bad thing about being like sexual blind when you're like describing things that maybe you're giving
No.
away.
Well, that's what sexual teal. That's her fault. Don't worry. But like, I guess my last partner was pretty sick. So
Uh,
I.
Grab her by the cat. That's what Kim said.
Mhm.
Oh my God. So yeah, yeah. That's what I like about the cat.
Okay.
So not that I'm gonna grab the cat. I just mean that I think it's cute because of those qualities.
Are you wearing red because
Um,
you're a Republican? Be honest. No, I'm joking.
because I'm what?
I said, you said grab her by the cat, and I was like, are you wearing red because you're a Republican? Be honest.
No.
No, I'm just fucking with you. Okay, go on.
Okay. Anyways, my favorite body of water was, what was it? That's the one I don't remember exactly. I feel like it was hard for me to answer that.
Mm.
I think what I said was,
I feel like you'd say shit like some giant body of fucking water. Like,
no,
no.
no. Oh my God. No, no, no. It was something more like,
Is it rain adjacent? Like something
I
torrential?
think it was. I
Okay.
think it was rainwater. I think it was. It was something like that, but I wasn't really resonating with it.
Mm.
I just said rain because I do enjoy listening to rain, but that doesn't
Fuck, I
necessarily
didn't
mean
think of that because
like
it's not like a body, but you're, oh, damn. I love thunderstorms.
I think today, if I would answer that question, my favorite body of water would be, okay, this is interesting. I like flood water for some reason, like watching something that just got destroyed get washed
I
away.
kind of like that too. It's kind of exciting. I get it.
There's something about that that makes me feel like something is leaving my system.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
um, which obviously means um,
For me, I like the spilling. Like I'm like, oh, things aren't where they're supposed to be. Ooh, like that.
I mean, as a man, from like a man standpoint, it means like an
Yeah.
orgasm, like something's leaving you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I feel like as a sexual blind, a lot of like because I'm a fearing sexual,
Hmm.
I feel like we're so fixated on getting it out.
Yeah, you are.
Like just doing it and that's it, and then just get it out. Like it's that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, so I do see that there.
that's very SX blind man coded. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Hmm.
I'm glad we got this interview out.
I know this.
We've
This was
we've been at it for over 3 hours. I was thinking, I'm like, like, I guess we should probably stop at some point. And I was like, nah, I'm having fun. So I doubt anyone will want to watch me for 3 hours and 15 minutes. But if you do,
Yeah, I figured we would do these three questions and then just kind
okay.
of like it's because it was interesting. I mean, it was. I mean, Teal is the one that I got it from. She's sexual dominant. She didn't make it. She got this from like a psychology textbook or some
Yeah, I
shit.
feel like Evan, we did this with him before. I don't know. They definitely are familiar to me, though. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was
So are you
very
going
interesting.
to or are we okay?
We're good.
We're good.
So
Okay. I won't be.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I had a
And
great.
thank you for being patient because we've both canceled several times.
Oh,
Like,
I know
so
we
thank
did.
you so much. This was amazing. And
Mhm.
this was my longest interview.
Yes. You're welcome. Thank you, though.
All right. Thank you. So
Okay.
bye, everybody. Self destruct.